Oh, it's like one of my. I spend.
Don't they do different uniforms every year?
So they all have the standard uniforms they wear throughout the year, but they do it 2 weeks before. They do a big reveal, and each Army and Navy both honor a certain part of the. So last year was Navy did NASA, so it was all look like astronaut uniforms, and the Army side always does different divisions. So this year, Navy's is silent service, so they're doing submarines.
Space Force.
Space Force.
They're doing the Space Force?
No, they're doing submarines. So silent service submarines, and then the Army is doing it's like the 3rd division, like the Operation Rolling Thunder that went through the Iraq War. So all theirs are like desert themed with
that one is the one I saw.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah. That's probably worth 10 points right there.
Well, and don't you think? And I love Navy. My dad served in the Navy, so I own both sets of gear. I usually buy something every year from that. But go Navy, screw Army this one time per year.
Wow, okay.
But
I'm rooting for Army.
Their uniforms are always better because Nike just does a much better job than Under Armour.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not even a fair fight, really.
So it pains me to say it because every year I root for Navy, but the Army stuff, it's better. But don't tell any of my Army guys that because screw them.
Well, you just said it on the radio.
I know. I got a buddy of mine that comes who's
it's a bit of a problem.
Officer McGuffey out there who was in the military. I refuse to give him any credit for his service. But whenever he comes over for like Thanksgiving, I make sure that I'm head to toe in my Navy gear. Beat Army. So
yeah, well, it should be a good game.
I just love it. I mean,
I don't know.
It's always a low scoring affair.
I always hate Army Navy weekend because it means that there's nothing going on.
Yeah, but I just
in the Heisman.
To me, for anyone that complains about what college football is and what it's become, I totally get it. And if you want something that kind of harkens back to supposedly what college football means, watch Army Navy. It's my favorite game of the year. And
it's hard to watch though. I'm warning you.
Well, it's not necessarily great. It's not necessarily great football. I mentioned last year when we went to the game, me and my buddy, Navy didn't complete a pass until the 4th quarter.
That's what kind of game it is.
That's what kind of game it is.
Maybe Pittsburgh should have tried that.
couldn't have hurt. But also the pageantry of it. I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of cool stuff. I don't know if I've ever been to anything that I enjoyed more than Army Navy. Being down there before and after and get to be on the field, it's just the pageantry and the pregame stuff, and then post when they all get together and they sing the alma maters. There was just, and getting to talk to some of the players and their families afterwards, it was amazing. I was me and my buddy were both fighting to see who was gonna not be the one to cry first, because it's really emotional.
We may or may not watch at our house, because we've got a real rivalry tomorrow.
And that is?
Kansas, Missouri.
Oh.
On the hardwood.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you get, priorities.
That's right. Well, guys, it's Friday. Will Ortner's over there. You guys like Will Ortner? He's here again.
Backwards hat, Will.
They're not clapping. Oh, they are clapping. Thank you.
The studio audience loves Will Ortner. Jordan Schultz out again.
Not sick, though.
We only got one. Did we get him once this week?
We got him once this week.
Twice.
Monday. Twice, yeah.
Was he Monday?
He was in Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
And then he was ill, and then he came back. I don't think he wanted to work, but Will was forced into Portland Pilot Service. Will is kind of Swag's bitch, it turns out. Like, Swag demands Will Ortner.
How do you feel about that?
And then
I would say that I'm a real hard worker and I'm a go-getter, and that sometimes
you're reliable.
Those in positions above me see that, and they're helping me along.
That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is you're a bitch.
Well, at
Swag.
one point...
Well, that's according to Suk.
I would
never say that.
At one point, everyone was.
No, that's right.
But
you can't be too reliable. That's the thing. Like you're
I'm a victim of my own success.
Yeah,
that's right.
You got to say no sometimes. I remember the best thing I ever did around here was say no to broadcasting high school football.
You can't say no to Jason Swigert.
I never watched that Nancy Reagan infomercial.
Oh yeah, you probably missed the Dare to Kip Dare program, right?
I'm the end of the Dare.
You caught the Dare program?
I caught the Dare, and I learned to just say no.
I hate to tell all the Dare people, but the war on drugs is over, and drugs won. It's official. Drugs have defeated the rest of us. So hey, it was a worthy fight. Congratulations.
Well, Will's here. We've got Joey Harrington coming on today. We haven't talked to him since Oregon lost.
No. I think he's hiding out.
So, yeah, we got to, I mean, it feels like a long time ago.
But we got to address it.
But we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
That'll be at 5:30. We're going to rob the bank today.
Ooh.
I actually
It's
text.
the last robbing the bank of the year.
Yeah, it is. So we got to get everything in. Bowl games and everything. I text Buck. Have not heard back yet. He's
Oh.
only got, basically 2 hours to get his locks in.
What else is he doing?
Probably nothing.
Exactly.
Raising children.
Oh, he's not raising
Dude.
anything.
At this stage of the game,
Let me just say this for the record. The whole kid thing, we love to use that as an excuse. And look,
Father too.
and I'm not saying that raising kids is easy, but boy, we make it out to be like you're cracking like nuke secrets. And it is not.
it's hard. You know, the newborn thing.
I understand.
And then he's got a 2-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So he's probably chasing the 2-year-old around
2-year-old.
while mama tends to the
Yeah.
baby.
All I'm saying is, like I said, I'm
It's not
not
easy.
saying it's easy, but we overblow the challenges that come along with that way, way too much. We do that. It's the hardest job in the world. No, it's not. It's really not. Lots of people do it. And here's the thing. You don't have to be great at it too. There's no, like, as long as you're not the worst at it, there's no curve. No one comes in and gives you a grade. There's no chance you're getting fired in that.
Well, people give you a grade. Trust me, as a teacher, they give you a grade.
Like I see these, like you like there's all these videos going around where it's always like, this is our day and we're up at 5:30 in the morning and this kid has 9 soccer practices and then I'm running over here and you're doing that to yourself. You're choosing to make it that hard because it doesn't have to be that hard. I swear, half the time we just like to invent crap as parents so that we can bitch about it and then pretend that we're super tired and exhausted and there's no way we can go on because we're waiting for someone to slap us on the back and be like, you're doing an amazing job. I raised 3 kids. Challenging? Sure. Hardest thing I've ever done? No.
Well, there's a riveting soliloquy for motivational purposes for Ryan Buckley there.
Yeah, just like, suck
But
it
I
up,
think
man.
he is going to get his picks in. I mean,
I would
he's
hope
the
so.
only one that has a winning record on the show, so people should want his picks, but we'll see. So we'll do that. We'll do that at 5:15. And in the meantime, we party. Let's get our poll questions in. At 1080 The Fan on X, brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling, family business, helping families for over 60 years, AAAIAQ.com. Yesterday, we asked you what sucks most, and these were all from Thursday's headlines. John Rahm to live, Juan Soto to the Yankees, Patriots Steelers, or the in-season tournament. That's the NBA.
Yes.
The winner was Patriots Steelers,
And it didn't disappoint.
32%.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't great.
No.
In-season tournament got 26%. Rahm to live, 24%. Juan Soto to the Yankees, bringing up the rear at 18%.
I do enjoy the people that have put together. Have you seen the John Rahm supercuts?
No.
They're fantastic. Because, Rahm not too long ago went on a big rant about how live wasn't real golf and he doesn't like 54 holes. There's no cuts. He really kind of went hard at live, saying my heart's in the PGA. And the best is that he did the, if I got $400 million, my life wouldn't change at all. So he goes, it's not about the money.
He did say that.
Yeah. And so people have put together these great supercuts of, like Dr. Evil right. And the little kid that in the car seat that does the BS, he does a bull. You haven't seen that little
Is he the
meme?
one that's high because he just got back from like...
No, he's like a kid. He's like 6 years old and he's in a car seat and he drops 2 like bull S's in a row. So people have put together these great Rahm supercuts.
I don't like that kind of language.
It's little kid swearing is hilarious. If you want to be a good parent, teach like your 4 or 5 year old like one good solid swear word, nothing like horrible. But I'm telling you, funniest thing in the world.
Nothing is funnier than teaching when one of the little kindergartners or first graders drops an F-bomb.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
You're trying so hard to hold it in because you don't want to encourage it.
Then you have to have a talk with the parents and be like, hey, what are you guys saying at home?
When little Eisman was like 3 or 4, he was a big fan of the GDs. And it was a bit jarring, but I'll tell you what, I laughed every single time. It was usually directed at one of the dogs. Like one of the dogs would like bump into him or like knock his cone down. And they just would drop an out loud, clear as day, just a giant GD. And I just, it was wonderful. It just made me smile every time.
My son is an idiot.
And then my wife would look at me like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "That's funny. You know it is."
I had a, hey, Mr. Ortner, I'm effing walking here. But he said the full word.
How old?
6 or 5. It's kindergarten.
It's great.
Wow.
Yeah. Within reason. You don't want to have a full-on little potty mouth, but just once in a while, peppering one in, it's hilarious.
He clearly didn't know.
Yeah.
He had no idea.
Yeah. He's like, well, I heard that word. What's wrong with that?
All right, today's question. In which bowl result are you most confident? We have 4 options on there for you. Oregon waxes Liberty. Washington upsets Texas. Texas downs Washington. Or the Irish take out the Beavs.
In the No One's Playing Bowl?
Yeah, it does seem like, well, I think that
I'm taking Notre Dame.
I haven't seen the Notre Dame opt-outs, but obviously Oregon State has lost 4 or 5 key starters.
I'm taking Notre Dame in that. If I had to put some money on which one of those I feel the best about, I'm taking Notre Dame. Oregon State,
even though they may have a bunch of opt-outs too.
Yeah, but
I just don't.
They have had plenty, but from an overall talent standpoint, and the people that are missing from Oregon State are all the key guys. And I'm assuming that some of the O linemen aren't going to play because they're going to go to the NFL. I think it's going to be a skeleton crew. Remember when they played Florida last year in the bowl game, and Florida had like 30 guys and they got waxed? I kind of feel like that's coming for Oregon State, and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
They're just not going to have players.
Yeah, it's Martinez isn't playing, right? Because
Martinez isn't playing, and your tight end left. I'm assuming your All-American right tackle isn't going to play because he's going to go to the NFL.
That game's a little bit like just the battle of depth. Like Notre Dame surely has much more depth than Oregon State, even if they have as many opt-outs, which I don't think they do yet, or at least we haven't seen yet. Then that might be the winner.
I'm going.
So far, Oregon waxing Liberty is leading, shockingly.
They should, but
they should, but it's one of those who cares games.
It's a giant who cares game. But something tells me if someone's going to get a group fired up, Lanning will find some sort of weird motivation to,
I hope so.
Someone will be disrespected, or I don't know, us against the world.
I'm going to bet on him, I think.
What's the spread on that?
Spread 16. I don't love that, but I just think
I'm not touching.
If all things are equal, like motivation wise,
they'll stomp them.
They should beat them. They should score 65 points.
Yes.
So 16 to me seems low.
The fact that Bo,
but we need Oregon to be motivated.
The fact that Bo is playing leads me to believe that Oregon is going to stomp an old-fashioned mud hole.
Yeah, because him being the team leader and everything. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have some. I saw Kyrie Jackson.
Yeah, he's going to the NFL.
Going to the NFL.
And I don't know. Like I'm assuming, like if you're Troy Franklin, do you play? I don't know, but
I don't know either.
I'll wait and see on that, because if you ask me a week from now, my answer may be Oregon just kicks their living.
No, you're right. That's one you wait to bet until you see the opt-outs. And they start practice on Monday.
And you'll know.
And then I think that's when we'll find out.
If you got generally the full complement of guys, including Bo Nix, Oregon wins by 30 in that game.
They should, yeah. So there's your poll question. It is on X at 1080 The Fan, brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling. Vote hard. There is a new favorite to land Dylan Gabriel. We went through this yesterday.
Yeah. We thought he was a duck.
The transfer quarterbacks. Well, yeah, he hasn't said anything yet.
Yeah.
But we went through yesterday, we went through a guy's predictions of where all the quarterbacks will go. And he had Dylan Gabriel to Oregon. Well, today we get an email from our man Jimmy Shapiro, who's with betonline.ag, and they put out odds as sportsbook. And Oregon is second on this list, not first, and it's not USC. Yeah. So we'll get to that coming up next. It's 3:14 on The Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on the
I was taking a look at the transfer portal quarterbacks, and he was predicting where they would go. Kind of interesting, because a lot of these are getting close to crystallizing. Like, for example, and so today we got this email from betonline.ag, and they have odds on where these guys will go. So a lot of them, the on3.com guy was spot on with who the favorite is. Some of them he was not, though, and it's kind of interesting to look at. So Cam Ward, Ohio State is the favorite.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I mean, that's the whole Ryan Clark thing, supposedly spilling the beans. Most people think that that's basically a done deal, which is one of the reasons why McCord bolted in the first place.
USC, though, is just 2-1 on that list for Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Dante Moore.
By the way, people are saying $2.5 million for Cam Ward.
Well, yeah, he's top 2 quarterback in the portal, right?
There's a nice little price tag attached to that.
So Dante Moore, yesterday we said, the guy predicted Michigan State. Michigan State is the favorite, but Michigan is right behind him. He being from Michigan, they think he's going to go home.
Well,
Oregon is 4-1 on him.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, too, that if Childs ends up going to Michigan State, I mean, both just completed their freshman year. Do you really want to go with a guy that is – people are really high on Aiden Childs, and you just got done with a nasty battle down at UCLA that you kind of won and then was back and forth. Do you really want to go head-to-head with another freshman like that if you're if you're Dante Moore?
So I don't know what Michigan's got coming in behind.
I don't know.
McCarthy.
I mean, McCarthy, I don't know. I would assume any place like Michigan, any place like you're gonna have competition. Like at USC, they've got is it Malachi Nelson, I think is his name. I mean, you get to any one of those places and you're dealing with a 4- and 5-star kid. I mean, so like you got to remember, anytime you enter the portal as one of these quarterbacks, you can go in with the idea of like I'm going to be the starting guy. But most of these places, you will have competition. I mean, no one just rolls, and no 5-star kid is just going to roll over and be like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, it's your job.
Who's DeQuan Finn?
DeQuan Finn. I don't know if I know DeQuan Finn.
Well, it sounds like the favorite to land him is Michigan,
Okay.
whoever he is. Dylan Gabriel. Okay, Oregon is not the favorite, although many think he is going to Oregon. Dylan Gabriel, they've got Oregon second on the list at 3-1, but they've got one team listed at 1-1, even money.
Really?
Mississippi State.
What?
Yeah. Mississippi State is in on a shocking number of these.
Well, and they were supposedly
kids.
supposedly they're in, and I guess it would probably have to wait till after the the bowl game or whatever. But there was a lot of scuttlebutt that Quinn Ewers, or not Quinn Ewers, but Arch Manning. If Quinn Ewers comes back, that Arch Manning could be the next one to say I'm out of here. If Quinn decides to come back. By the way, DeQuan Finn is the Toledo quarterback, which I don't know anything about him, but you see a lot of these guys from smaller schools like that people are high on, and then you look at their numbers like, man, those are good numbers. You just don't hear about it because it's from the MAC.
Gabriel's favored to go to Mississippi State because his OC is now the head coach over there, Jeff Libby.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ohio State is next after Oregon.
Because supposedly there was a photo circulating around of Libby walking around with Arch Manning, and people were like, but who knows what that means. But there's so many different rumors out there.
DJU, Florida State,
Mm-hmm.
plus 125. Michigan State, plus 150. Kyle McCord. Now, yesterday they were saying, what's that guy saying? Kyle McCord. Miami.
Yeah.
Miami's down the list a little bit. They have him, the favorite to land him is Nebraska, plus 250.
Huh. Another round of crappy
So you
quarterbacks
can go
at
there and
Nebraska.
suck. Because Jeff Sims is leaving Nebraska, as I'm sure they're crying about.
He was so bad. But this is the thing with like McCord. I know people are going to bag on him because it didn't look great at Ohio State, especially with all the weapons that he had. But again, tell everybody, you can get better. You really can. Bo Nix, Cam Ward, Michael Penix, all these guys were not necessarily viewed as can't miss people. And by the way, Cam Ward, his first year at Washington State was very average. Like, I remember, because he came from Incarnate Word where he won, the lower Heisman.
He was much better this year.
Yeah, people thought he was going to come in and light the world on fire. And I'm telling you, Cam Ward, his first year with 2 thumbs, meh. And then this year he came out and had a great year. So you see a guy like McCord that kind of gets pushed out at Ohio State. And if he ends up at Nebraska or wherever, people are going to roll their eyes. Again, you're probably dealing with a kid that was he was the Ohio State starting quarterback as a freshman. I'm assuming that is a 4 or high 5-star kid. He was probably a top 10 recruit, and he wasn't terrible at the end of the year. That may be one of those kids that goes somewhere and all of a sudden people are like, oh, well, he's better than we thought.
Yeah. Riley Leonard to Notre Dame. It's
all about it.
Yeah, he's minus money there.
Yeah.
And then the other one they have on the list is Will Howard. He's from Kansas State. Yesterday they were predicting USC. USC not the favorite. They are second behind Texas A&M.
Oh, okay. Well, A&M needs everybody because their entire team is left. Oregon,
Oregon's getting the visit from that. Is it the Texas A&M defensive end, Nolan?
Yeah.
Walter Nolan.
I guess he's a stud.
Well, he was like Kayvon Thibodeau, #1 defensive player. He was part of that $25 million supposed class that is now basically just gone. It's like a fart in the wind. It's just evaporated. They're all gone. But he is, by all accounts, like just nasty and only going to continue to get better. A&M's just been decimated. The difference between like A&M obviously and like Oregon State is A&M, one, has the name, the money, all of that to rebuild their roster. Whereas, some of the other schools, when you get devastated like this, it's just, it's hard to rebuild because there's a difference between losing depth and losing key players. So that's the key. Like, don't pay any attention to like, oh, well, if 12 guys enter the portal. No. Look and see if they fit into your plans. So when you lose a guy that, that you look at it and that one leaves a big hole in your program, that's way worse than losing 4 kids that are depth or that were never going to play. So it's not all transfer portal kids entering or the same loss for programs.
When do these decisions get made? I would imagine not long.
Well, I mean, with the early signing period coming up, you're going to have to start. Teams are going to need to start finalizing these things sooner than.
So the early.
Later.
When do they sign? When's the?
It's in December. I don't know.
I believe it's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, something like that.
This whole calendar's screwy. College football needs to. I don't know. I guess some of it has to do with, when kids are out of school and stuff, but it just seems like it could be placed better.
It's just,
spaced better.
Well, and remember, you'll have this one, and then there's another one that comes after spring as well.
Because I feel like I mean, what are there? 80 some teams in bowls. I feel like for about 75 of those teams, the bowl game is like secondary right now.
Yes.
Oregon.
Yeah.
The bowl game's secondary.
Oh, 100%.
It is. I mean, I know they landing and the coaches love to get 3 extra weeks of practice and you can, it's a good thing. I'm not saying they don't care. I'm just saying the more important thing right now in December is recruiting, what they're doing right now.
Well, and building,
and then signing.
And building a roster. And this is happening more and more. You see Washington hired a guy, like kind of promoted him, and he's being called their general manager. So, I mean, teams now have...
What's he do? What's that guy do? Hand out bags of cash?
Builds the roster. It is now the way.
So it's like the recruiting coordinator.
It's more than that because now it's a recruiting coordinator, but also with the transfer portal, and you have to constantly be aware of who you think you can keep on your team, who is possible to leave, who are you trying to push out. Roster building now in college football is much more like the NFL than it ever was before. So when you have kids now that aren't developed and that don't figure into your plans, that general manager, he is going to try to push them elsewhere. And it's also your job to figure out, okay, we only have so many scholarships. You have to find a nice balance between growing young talent and developing and plugging in holes that you need right away. And you also can't be caught with your pants down with like if you've got a tight end, you're like, hey, we're set here, and all of a sudden your tight end enters the portal. It is that guy's job to know whether that kid is solid or not. And if you think he's wishy-washy, you better be able to go out and find another one. So I just thought it was interesting. They actually gave him the title of general manager.
Yeah, his name's Courtney Morgan.
Yeah.
And he has been with DeBoer all the way back to Florida State.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're calling him general manager, but he was previously the director of player personnel. So he basically just recruits.
Yeah.
And they say he's elite.
Yep.
And he's elite on the West Coast.
You gotta build a roster now, and it's more.
The GM. Does Oregon have a GM?
It's more complex than ever.
Maybe that's why they lost. They need a GM.
So it's just college football is It's a changing, and
I
some
guess they all have it. It's just a
different
title.
titles. Yeah, you have to have one now. You just have to, like in like in the NBA now, in the NFL, like you have to have a cap manager. You have to have someone that's a cap specialist in order to kind of make everything work. And this is the other one that the GM of these college football teams or player director or whatever is you have to allocate your NIL money. And yeah, it's not coming directly from the school, but they know through their collectives how much they have. Like one of the things that you hear from Washington is they don't pay for high school kids. Their idea is we're going to save our money and we're going to pay it to either transfer portal guys, or if you come here and you develop, we'll pay to keep you. But that's one of the things you hear about why Washington isn't necessarily killing it on the recruiting trails is they don't want to hand out cash to high school kids. And there's a lot of other places that do. So like there's even different strategies when it comes to that. But if you've got, let's say your collective comes up with like $8-9 million this year, you got salary cap, man, and you got to figure out how you want to spend it. Do you spend it on transfer portal? Do you spend it on your own kids? Do you spend it on high school kids? There's a thing there.
Let me read you the list of Oregon football support staff.
Yeah.
Chief of staff,
Mhm.
Senior Associate AD of Administration and Operations, Assistant AD of Football Operations, Director of Football Operations, Director of External Relations, Director of Player Academic Development, Director of Player Development, Director of Player Engagement, Director of Scouting, Director of Recruiting Operations, Director of Recruiting Strategy, Onboarding Coordinator / Assistant Director of Player Personnel, 4 more Assistant Director of Player Personnels, Assistant Director of Recruiting, Recruiting Assistant, and then you get down into the video production and content design. My God.
Yeah. There's a lot. And by the way, you no longer just scout high school. You have to scout other players. Like you have to watch. You have to have someone that's in charge of looking around the college football landscape at all levels and finding, who you want. You got to find a Bucky Irvin. You got to find a Dylan Johnson. I mean, hell, you got to find a Michael Penix. And some of that is relationship built, like with DeBoer and Penix. Obviously, it was there, but it's
crazy.
You have to have more tentacles and more eyeballs out there now than ever before. It's a new way of doing business.
All right, up next, is a lifeline coming for the Beavers and the Cougs? Here's Will with SportsCenter.
This
1 seeds right now?
The number 1 seeds.
Yeah, if the playoffs started right now.
Gosh. Well, it would be Philly.
Yep.
Philly would be 1.
That's the easy one.
That's the easy one.
Do you know who the number 1 seed in the AFC is?
That's what I'm trying to. I think it's Baltimore probably still.
It's not.
It's not Baltimore. So
Nope.
Baltimore's 9-3. It's not Kansas City.
Nope.
I would have thought Kansas City.
Is Miami?
It's Miami.
Miami.
It's the Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
So we'll take a look at that coming up. But I teased this by saying is a major lifeline coming for the Beavs and Cougs. Rumblings.
Yeah.
We've got rumblings.
Oh, there's all kinds of rumblings.
Yeah, there is. Man, the shifting that is going on behind the scenes is, I mean, it
It's
is.
so seismic right
It
now.
really is seismic.
There is, and there's no way to know 6
How it's
months,
gonna-
a year,
yeah.
2 years from now, how this is all going to play out. So I just think it's really smart what Oregon State and Washington State are doing is they're going to take this money and just tread water for
They're
a
going
couple
to
years.
buy their time
Yeah.
because they know this is all going to change. But the latest is that the ACC is that those teams won out of there.
Yeah.
And we knew that.
Yeah.
But now their team gets screwed out of the playoff. They're locked into this long-term TV contract that sucks. So the scuttlebutt is that, and who knows if Florida State being left out of the playoff prompted more of this, or if this would have happened anyway. Probably would have happened anyway. But a lot of the ACC schools are now talking to the Big 12 about a merger. And so the reason that's good for the Beavers and the Cougs is that this, again, all just rumor and speculation, but they may add, not only merge, but add Oregon State and Washington State to get numbers.
See, there's a guy on Twitter, and he's a pretty controversial guy because he's just one of those. He's a West Virginia booster. Like he's clearly connected with West Virginia, and he hears a lot of stuff and he throws it out there, and it's one of these, and he's pretty good about being like, hey, this is just what I'm hearing. He's right a lot, but obviously you're wrong, and he's always like, dude, this is just stuff I'm hearing. But a lot of the stuff he says does end up coming true.
Well, it doesn't even need to. I mean, it's just sometimes it's just things that they're talking about.
Yes, and I do believe that he is. I think he's fairly credible. Again, take everything what anyone says as discussions and rumors, and you can't be like, oh, well, this is going to happen. But he has been right a number of times and clearly is connected. And I just think it's always one of those interesting ones that you hear, and then like if you hear something like that, you try to bounce it off some other people and see has anyone else heard this. And one of the things that he has talked about is all the different, like there's like 6 different scenarios that everyone is talking about. And he said that one of them is both the ACC and the Big 12 are talking to the Pac-2, and they want to know what assets they bring to the table. Because remember, they get all the Pac-12, regardless of what happens in this lawsuit, it's almost a guarantee that the Pac-2 is going to be left with all of the Pac-12 network's resources, all of the cameras, all of those distribution, avenues. And that may be something that's attractive when you're trying to build some sort of coalition from East Coast to West Coast. So, and the one that has that I've heard kicked around, not just from him, but from a couple other people, is the idea of 2 to 3 separate conferences under one umbrella. So whether it be some of the teams in the ACC would leave. Obviously, Florida State, North Carolina, Clemson, they want out. And they end up somewhere in the SEC or they end up somewhere in the Big 10. So the ACC takes the Big 12 and maybe what's left of the West Coast Pac-2, backfill that with maybe some of the best teams from the Mountain West, Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno, something like that. And then what you end up having is 2 to 3 separate conferences all under one umbrella. And their idea is there that you get automatic spots into the playoff if you ended up with 3 conferences. Scheduling alliance, you would play almost exclusively each other. Wide distribution because you have games in all 3 time slots. You obviously have all the Pac-12 stuff, all the equipment that goes along with it, that's going to stay with the Pac-2, but they would collectively bargain as one. So when they do a TV deal, when they do bowl deals, all that stuff, it's all going to be under one umbrella, but as 3 separate entities making up one. And I think that's really intriguing. And if that happens, you would think that there would be a place at the table
Yeah.
for
That's right.
Oregon State and Washington State.
So Yormark, the head of the Big 12, and Phillips, the head of the ACC, they have been meeting.
Yeah.
In one other, and he even says this is the wildest rumor I've ever put on here. But his sources tell him that the SEC and the Big Ten have had talks with the NFL regarding funding NIL and having schools sponsored by NFL teams as a farm system that would develop their draft picks.
Wouldn't that be something? I mean, there's just that one to me seems a bridge way too far, because why would the NFL want to get involved in? It's the best feeder system in the world because they don't have to do anything and it just keeps giving it to them. I don't think that one to me makes any sense at all. But at this point, there was another lawsuit today filed in court going after college football's antitrust.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Who filed this? Ron DeSantis?
Let me pull it up. But basically,
Meatball Ron?
Yeah, there's another one.
Sanctimonious?
There's another one coming down, basically saying that the transfer rules and everything else, whatever, it violates antitrust laws and fair market value, and
Well, you could argue that for sure.
Exactly. So there are multiple lawsuits that are coming, either have been filed, are working their way through the courts, or there was a brand new one today that got filed. And if any one of these goes through, then everything changes, and everything we think are the best laid plans, those all go away. Which is why they're trying to get Congress involved to pass a law giving them antitrust protection, allowing them to still, quote, be amateurs and not having, because if that doesn't change, if a federal law doesn't change saying, hey, this is law, this is codified, you can't challenge this, there will continue to be lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit until eventually the dam bursts. So one of two things happens here over the next 5 to 10 years. Either there's a federal law that says these lawsuits stop and this is the way it is, and the only way that happens is by giving the players more. Again, the allowing the schools to, this is why the NCAA president is saying, hey, let the schools pay them, let them break away. And if we do that, we can probably get someone at the congressional level to say, okay, we're taking care of the players. It's no longer we're all making billions and the players are making nothing. Let's make it where we protect this and this stops. So either that happens, or, like I said, lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit keeps happening until eventually one of them goes through, and then schools unionize, and then at that point they're professionals, and then you get into revenue sharing, and the entire thing comes crumbling down, and it has to get rebuilt basically as a mini NFL. One of those two things is going to happen. We just don't know when, and we don't know exactly how, but there's only two paths that are feasible going forward.
Well, it's pretty interesting. This dude that we're talking about here, he's the one that had the USC UCLA move to the Big Ten before anybody even thought that was possible.
Yeah. And like I said, it's just one guy, and
we'll
some of the
see.
stuff he throws out there is horse crap, and other stuff that he's thrown out has been spot on. But, there's just so many different things out there, and you have to believe that with the ACC and the Big 12, and this is what we found out even when the Pac-12 was collapsing, we found out that every one of those schools was having back alley conversations about what to do and where to go. And I promise you right now that Oregon State, Washington State, the Big 12, and the ACC, they're in constant communication trying to figure out where this thing lands and how you survive the next round of whatever the hell realignment or.
Yeah, he said there's a meeting, Big Florida State meeting, January 31st.
Yeah.
And they're saying that one could decide what Florida State's going to do, because it's going to be the top domino. They're probably the top domino in that league.
Florida State and Clemson maybe
But
try to just force their way out.
He also says that at least right now SEC is showing no interest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where would they go?
That'd be the Big Ten.
Yeah, possibly. And that's weird.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
All right, yeah, it's going to be wild these next couple of years. But you're right. Oregon State, Washington State doing what they're doing, biding their time.
There's a chance.
They have 2 years to just sit and see what happens. They could survive. All right, if the NFL playoffs started today, next on The Fan.
And if you don't know Jeffrey Kessler, he's the attorney that basically he's sued the NCAA like 19 times. He was one of the attorneys in the O'Bannon case. He was one of the attorneys in the Alston case. He's determined to take down the NCAA. And so he is filing this with 3 other attorneys, and it's on behalf of a Duke football player, a Stanford soccer player, and a TCU basketball player. And they are trying to gain class action status from anyone that played Division I Power 5 sports from December 7th, 2019 to December 7th, 2023. And if this becomes a class action lawsuit and they win, you are talking about billions of dollars.
Why just those 4 years?
Because you need just a tight window. The idea is like if you went to a court and said, and they did
everybody ever.
And
Big suit gets money.
Yeah, they've done this in all the cases. Like remember with the video game, the NIL one, some kids ended up getting paid, but they did like a window where they're like, hey, if you were in the video games between this year and that year, otherwise I could have gotten money if you go all the way back. And so basically this follows down the same way of the Alston versus NCAA case, which was like 13 years ago. And the whole argument is the rules that govern NCAA athletes from getting fair market value, it violates antitrust laws because you put an unreasonable cap on it. And Alston went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled in their favor, but to a very, very small extent. They stopped short of saying that, hey, this is worth billions of dollars. And so basically what they're saying now is in the here we are all these years later, and the rise and the billions of dollars in conference realignment, you're going to have a hard time convincing a judge that what's happening right now in sports has anything to do with amateurism. So they're just banking on, with the landscape changing, it's almost impossible now to make the case that this is anything other than professional sports. And by the way, they filed it in the same district as the O'Bannon case where they've already won a judgment.
Okay.
So this is yet another one that if this were to, and it would be years down the road, but if this thing they ended up winning, it ends the NCAA, which is, again, goes back to what I was talking last segment. This is why all the schools want federal legislation. They need Congress to come in and say, no more of this. The antitrust laws do not apply to them. They're exempt from it. And it stops these because all it takes is one. This is the same lawsuit. They're just doing it again. And their idea is one of these times we're going to win. And this can't keep happening if you want the NCAA to survive. So if you can come up with a system where people say, okay, the athletes are being taken care of fairly, they're getting big chunks of money, they're not restricted in where they move around, that may be enough to get Congress to say, okay, the system's good, this is fine, this is fair, let's stop this and continue college sports as we know it, as opposed to having the whole thing get torn asunder.
So who is funding the defense?
The NCAA.
I know, but from what funds? Like they just
all
this
basketball tournament,
all their money,
all the money. Yeah. Which again is very expensive. And the NCAA knows that they are losing. They keep losing in court, even in small increments. And you see them keep moving the goalposts because they know that they know eventually they die. And this one that they're doing right now with the federal legislation, trying to get Congress involved, this is their final Hail Mary. They know that the enemies are at the gate, and it's only a matter of time because every time you've gone to court, every judge has been like, yeah, but it's still kind of amateurism, and yeah, the players need to be compensated, but it's still about education, and it's still a bigger part of it than you guys are admitting. But now with conference realignment, now with the amount of money that's happening out here, now with the transfer portal, now with NIL, now with coaches getting paid $10 and $11 million a year, there's just no way to keep going to court and saying amateurism and having anyone buy it. So they have to find a way to stop the bleeding. And these attorneys just keep pounding away with these lawsuits. And the NCAA has to figure out a way to stop it.
All right, we'll get some NFL coming up next. It's 3:56 on the Fan. 5:15. I just got Buck's picks. They are in. He's locked and loaded. He's got 12 of them on there.
Good Lord.
Well, he's got some bowl games.
Okay.
So we'll fire through those. Joey Harrington will join us at 5:30. We'll recap Oregon, Washington, and take a look ahead to Liberty. Did you think I would be saying that about the Joey T's a week later?
That is...
Isn't that something?
I just think that's soul crushing.
What if I told
you're an Oregon fan?
This one hurts. It still hurts probably.
Yeah.
But what if I told you, okay, so we talked to Joey last Friday,
Mhm.
and I pull you aside and I'm like, Big Soup, check this out. Here's going to be what I'm going to be saying the next time we have Joey on.
Mhm.
We'll talk to Joey about the Washington game and the next one against Liberty.
Jeez.
What would you say to me? You'd be like, come on.
Yeah, I just laugh at you.
How?
It's
That
like,
doesn't
yeah,
even,
that's-
there's no chance.
No.
Well, there is a chance, and it happened. So
Liberty Bibbity.
Joey at 5:30. I was looking at, last night's game sucked, but we knew it was going to suck.
Yeah. Although, at the beginning, it looked kind of interesting.
Hey,
sorta, maybe.
actually, I would say this. The Steelers are what sucks. Like, Bailey Zappi did not look bad.
You stop that.
He didn't.
I don't want to hear that Bailey's. We do this all the time. We do
He
it with-
didn't.
I know, but you're going to do it with Josh Dobbs, and we've done it with Zappy before.
Well,
where people are like, oh, Bailey Zappi.
Well,
Trust me,
no,
he will
no
come
one
back.
is. Yes, of course. No one's saying that. Just give him credit where credit's due. He looked all right.
Yes.
He looked way better than we thought. We thought that game was going to be so freaking bad. Well, on the Pittsburgh side, it was.
It was.
Mitchell Trubisky is terrible.
Yeah.
We thought Zappy would be like that. He was not.
No.
He was. So give him credit, you a-hole.
The 300 total.
Pay him $300 million.
Total yards. It also helps when they give you the ball on short fields every time. But
Well,
he'd have the one
he had a
drive to
couple-
start the game.
Couple nice throws. Anyway, the Patriots won. They looked better. Trubisky was just god awful. But anyway, this time of year, I like to look at the NFL playoff bracket.
Mhm.
And I was looking at it today, and we were mentioning Philly is the top seed, right? If the playoffs started today,
Yeah.
a lot can change. But right now, Philly is the number one seed in the NFC, and Miami is the number one seed in the AFC, which that kind of sneaks up on you because I don't know. They're kind of under the radar.
Sure.
Nobody's really talking about them.
And they probably should get more credit than they deserve. By the way, their defense is playing better and better. I think there was the idea that, it's a cute little offensive team.
Wow.
They've been playing better on the defensive side, even though, with Phillips with the torn Achilles. I think that stops people with the Miami is I think there is a belief that, and we see this all the time, where you beat up on the lesser teams in the NFL, but when push comes to shove and you play the better ones,
Well, that's Dallas.
that's Dallas. But you look at
Or
Miami.
some think that's Dallas.
Well, I'll give you this.
It's Miami too. Miami doesn't have any wins over teams over 500.
Yeah, you look at it, and some of this is, again, there's a lot of mediocrity in the NFL, but they have wins over the Chargers, the Patriots, the Broncos. Although the Broncos, they sucked at the time. They're getting better, but the Broncos aren't good. The Giants, the Panthers, the Patriots again, the Raiders, the Jets, and the Commanders.
Wow.
And their losses, the Bills, and by the way, they got hammered by Buffalo.
Yep.
They got bitch slapped. The Eagles took them behind the woodshed, and they lost the close one, 21-14 to the Chiefs. So I think that's where the skepticism comes in, is we know Miami can blitz bad teams. You got to prove it against someone. And by the way, you look at their schedule, they've got the Titans this week, which they stink. And then you got the Jets. But then this is where the rubber meets the road. You finish these things up with the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Bills.
Ooh, wow.
You'll learn about Miami and that 3-game stretch.
Well, last year, if you're watching in-season Hard Knocks, you would know that McDaniel is harping on this.
Yeah.
But remember, they were 8-3 last year,
Mhm.
and they were suddenly 8-8.
Well, that was when Tua went spider hands.
But McDaniel brings it up. He's like, "Hey, we're 8-3, but now," so they sort of have this kind of motivated thing to turn that around, to right that wrong, and let people know. The whole thing with in-season Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
So it remains to be seen, but they appear to be motivated to make sure that doesn't happen again. But I was looking through. So Philly is the 1 seed in the NFC, Miami in the AFC, and then you have 3 games now that's expanded the playoffs. So you have 3 other games on each side. Listen to this: Gardner Minshew is in the playoffs. Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Joe Flacco is in the playoffs. Desmond Ritter or Taylor Heineke is in the playoffs.
Also point out that one of those quarterbacks right there will have a home playoff game.
Yeah, that's right.
They're going to win that division.
Josh
Probably.
Dobbs is in the playoffs. And Jordan Love is in the playoffs. And he's been good.
I'm not going to that
look,
because last 3 weeks he's been good.
But come on, if I told you all that at the start of the season, you'd be like, oh my God. Yeah. So right now it'd be Jacksonville, Cleveland as the 4-5. They'd play in Cleveland. Or no, sorry, they play in Jacksonville. Kansas City would host Indy, 3-6. And then Baltimore hosts Houston, which that's a tough draw for Baltimore.
Yeah.
Because Houston's tough.
Yeah, sitting there at 7-5, and Houston is ahead of the curve. Like we thought, this was another toss-away year for Houston, and they're sitting there at 7-5, and absolutely, especially if Lawrence, although it sounds like Lawrence is going to be a game-time decision and may go, but they're only a game. Houston and Indy are only a game back of Jacksonville. If he ends up having that thing and it's a little wonky, wouldn't that be something if the Houston Texans or the Indianapolis Colts with Gardner Minshew end up winning that division over Jacksonville? Holy hell.
Then in the NFC, you would have Philly playing Dallas, and like you said, Atlanta will host that. At least if the season ended today, which is stupid. That's the easiest game ever for Dallas. Then you would have Detroit hosting Minnesota, divisional game.
Yeah.
And San Francisco hosting Green Bay. That's if the playoffs started today.
It's funny because San Francisco would be fine, but I would much rather play Minnesota or Atlanta than I would Green Bay.
Yeah, it's hard to know who's like the worst team probably Atlanta, right?
Atlanta, it's Minnesota. Like, no offense, but
you think Minnesota's worse than Atlanta?
Yeah, the Dobbs thing has.
You watched Desmond Ritter play?
Have you watched Josh Dobbs over the years?
Well, he said Mullins.
Dobbs had the 2 good games and everyone was losing their ass. And then he had He had that game where he threw 4 or 5 picks? Trust me, you're not winning in this league with one of these quarterbacks. All right, this isn't gonna be a Nick Foles type of situation. Like, these are not great teams. Now, if
by the way, Minnesota beat Atlanta in Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah. With Dobbs.
With Dobbs?
Yeah.
That was
his first game.
That was the comeback.
Yeah. That was his first game. So, dude, I think you are underappreciating the suctitude of Desmond Ritter. He's awful.
If you are a team like Atlanta, if you're a team like Minnesota, one of those, you're not winning anything with a backup quarterback. Now, San Francisco, Philadelphia, someone like that's a complete team, you might be able to ham and egg your way. We've seen it. Whether it's who was the Jeff Hostetler, or, won one with the Giants, Nick Foles, obviously. I mean, it can happen, but not with mediocre teams. So if you're talking Cincinnati, if you're talking Cleveland, if you're talking Minnesota, Atlanta, I don't care if it's the starter or the backup. They're just fodder. They even if you win a playoff game, you ain't going anywhere. It's just not happening. And this year, even with all the rules protecting quarterbacks, dude, they're just dropping like flies. And by the way, we got plenty of football to go, and hopefully, like, Hurts could go at any moment. And at least with Philadelphia, it's a complete team, and you've got Marcus. Like, that would be the one. Like, if Hurts, who's been playing beat up all year, if something happened to Hurts, Philly would still be a dangerous team with Marcus as their quarterback. Absolutely. You have a right backup quarterback and a complete team. No offense to any of those others with backups or crappy starters. See Atlanta. Gardner Minshew isn't leading Indianapolis anywhere. It's a cool story that you made the playoffs as a 9-win team or a 10-win team. Awesome. But you're not beating the big boys.
Well, we better not have another quarterback go down. Like if Tua, or like you said, Hurts, or Purdy, or Dak.
Yeah.
One of those guys goes down.
It's
maybe
rough.
Even Stroud. Or no, Lamar would probably be one that would really hurt the league. It's starting to get to be a joke.
It's tough.
They've got to keep the rest of these star quarterbacks
I don't know
healthy.
what you can do because you're not allowed to breathe on anyone anymore.
I know.
So
there's nothing more you can do. It's just
they've done everything. Can you imagine if it was under the old rules and you were allowed to hit quarterbacks?
They're all dead.
They're every one of them.
Do you think that it will ever? Is there any way ever that this could lead to more resources for a backup quarterback? Do you think a team will ever?
I see. I
carve out a little bit more of their cap for their backup.
I would buy it if there were good ones, but there's not.
There's just not enough.
Just not enough. Just, I mean, because like there are good, like some of the good backups can make $6-7 million a year.
I gotta tell you,
The problem is there's just again, there's not good starters, let alone good backups. They just don't exist. If you could do one thing to make football better, one thing, it would be to grow and like clone quarterbacks. You just
clone, huh?
Yeah. You know, if you could somehow magically and it would you can't have it by 3 or 4. If you could double the amount of good quarterbacks in the league, it would be exponentially like the product would be amazing if you had
You would just need like 25 more.
Yes.
The next AI task.
Yeah.
Yes.
Create quarterbacks. Stop doing ChatGPT.
CJ Stroud 2. So when CJ Stroud gets hurt, CJ Stroud 2 comes in.
Yes.
And there's no drop off.
No. Well, imagine like if you took
I love that.
again, let's take Atlanta, let's take Minnesota, let's take trying to think of another, you know, even Seattle. No offense to Geno, but like Seattle's not a bad team, but if you dropped in like an elite quarterback, again, let's take CJ Stroud 2 or Patrick Mahomes the 3rd because he's already the 2nd. You cloned him and put him on some of these teams. All of a sudden, this thing is bananas.
You're blowing my mind. What if there was a Patrick Mahomes clone that then got traded?
Even better.
So now you have 2 Patrick Mahomes playing on different teams.
Yeah. Well, you know who's trading for him? The New York Jets. Yeah, I want Patrick Mahomes' clone playing for the Jets. Tell me that's not the most interesting football team in the league.
I got to tell you, if I were a GM,
Cleveland with that defense?
I would spend a little extra money on. I would have the best backup quarterback in the league. Now, I'm not sure that means, you know, that if I have everything else dialed in, that we're still winning a Super Bowl or whatever. But man, I can't. It is so these teams, they fall apart. Like Pittsburgh is falling apart.
Yes. Before
the Jets,
eyes.
the Jets have fallen apart, and it's because, and they have good defenses, they have good teams, good coaches.
Yep.
They just can't without the quarterback. It's a dam that will break.
Yes.
And at least I just need a team. If I've got a backup quarterback that I have to put in there, I just need one good enough to at least give my team a puncher's chance and not fall apart.
Cleveland has
There's probably 3 or 4 of them in the league.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Cleveland has Cleveland's defense is scary good.
Yeah.
And the last 2 weeks they have put up, well, even let's go back 3.
The Jets defense is really good.
Yeah. So they beat the Steelers with 13 points. And then they lost to the Broncos with 12 and lost to the Rams with 19. Like they're another great example. If you could clone a quarterback, put him in Cleveland, you've got another Super Bowl contender. By the way, you'd probably want to clone a quarterback and replace Deshaun Watson because he kind of sucks too. You thought you were getting $300 million worth of a good quarterback. Instead, you got whatever the hell is left of him. It's just, there's just not good ones. And the way the game is played now, even with all of the rules protecting quarterbacks, there is one truth that can't be denied in the NFL, and that is the defensive linemen that are in today's game we've never seen anything like it. This is the golden age of defensive linemen. They're too big. They're too fast. There's too many of them. There's not enough quarterbacks. There's too many defensive linemen. Look around the league at some of these teams that are rotating through 7, 8 different guys. Watch San Francisco play some. It's absurd. The amount of athletic freaks that are just rushing, and they're just, the old linemen can't keep up with it. So, you know, no matter how many rules you put out there, you've got O linemen that aren't equipped to handle this, quarterbacks that there's not enough of them, and you have heat-seeking missiles across NFL defenses. I don't know what you do about it.
Well, I've already just made myself a GM of a team, okay?
Yes.
I would go get, let's say I have an elite guy, but he gets hurt. I'd see if I could get Howell.
Yeah.
And put him as my QB2. I think he'd be a really good backup.
Sure.
I'm trying to think of like the best backups in the league.
Yeah. If Howell was a backup, that's a very good backup.
I think as a backup, but he may not. I mean, he's probably not at that. I mean, he's a rookie, so he's
a starter. Well, he's not a rookie, but he played last year. But
oh, that's right. Yeah. He did. Sorry, year 2. But you know what I mean. We all know what he's destined to be.
Exactly. A borderline
he's
starter.
He's like Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's either a very starter or he's a great backup.
Garoppolo would be one I would have a phone call to, and then maybe Tannehill.
Yeah.
Those would be my guy. I mean, who else is
Tannehill's washed, but yeah.
Who else?
There's not.
Give me the best backup in the league. Is it Bridgewater? No.
It might be Marcus.
Winston.
Winston's again. I think
Heineke's fun.
it might be Heineke. It might be.
Well, Heineke, but they benched Heineke for Ritter. They put Ritter back in.
But he
again,
got hurt.
But that's my
Heineke did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, like, to be the best backup, it means you're the worst starter. Like, I mean, that's just kind of it's the way it is. Because if
Well,
it's like with Sam Howell. Sam Howell isn't bad enough to be a backup, but he's really not good enough to be a starter.
Perfect. That's what I want.
Yeah. If you really had an ideal world, there are 10 starting quarterbacks in this league that should be backups.
Well, yeah.
And yet, and they would be phenomenal backups.
So who's the best one of those guys?
You got anything from Andy Dalton to Sam Darnold to Heineke.
But those are backups.
Yes.
You give me the 10 starters that should be backups.
Geno Smith.
Great one.
Geno Smith would be and he was. Geno Smith was a great backup.
Fields.
Yes. Fields falls into that category for me. Again, Sam Howell
Pickett
would be that. Kenny Pickett. There you go. Like anyone like that.
But see, I'd take Howell over Pickett.
I probably would too.
I think I'd take Howell over Geno.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I think Howell can kind of sling a little bit.
There's another one too, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, there's a perfect example.
If-
No, see there you go. I would sign it that as a backup. I don't want him to start unless he has to. Backup quarterback, that's a guy I would pay a little bit more to have.
Yeah, but the problem is that there's a crappy team out there that's going to need a starter, and they'll take Baker.
Damn it.
Yeah.
So for my QB2 spot that I'm opening up the purse strings for, I have to get it has to be the best non-starter.
Yeah. Which is why, like,
And there are at least 10 teams that want
yeah,
bad quarterbacks to start.
right. Like I think Marcus is a pretty good.
Why didn't I
NFL
play quarterback?
Marcus is a pretty good NFL player, but we've seen Marcus now wash out of multiple places being the starter, and now he's settled into that perfect role of
Dude.
we got a championship backup, and there's not many of those guys. Like I said, there's
You
like
think he's a championship backup?
I think he's the one. If you put him, it's what I said. If Philadelphia, if Hurts goes down, if you gave me a team that's a real Super Bowl team, and they lost their quarterback, who would be most likely to be able to lead that team to a championship?
You think Mariota could pull a Foles?
I think for a short, brief period of time, if Philly was healthy, I think he has the best chance to pull a Nick Foles.
Boy, he was awful bad in Atlanta.
And Darnold might, maybe Darnold, maybe
Why
because
are we so? Why all of a sudden is Darnold like everybody's like, oh yeah, really good backup now? He's terrible.
But again, he falls into that category of.
But I guess with the Niners,
exactly
he'll look better.
Because again, you got a complete team around it, and you're not going to ask him to do a ton of stuff.
Dare I bring in Mac Jones as my backup?
Yes, there's another one. Mac Jones should not be a starting quarterback in this league, but Mac Jones would be a great backup. Would love him. But some team out there is going to sign that Palooka to be their starter next year.
You think so?
Yeah.
I bet he's a backup next year.
There's no, he will be a starter.
All right, we got to go. Is Shohei Ohtani going to Toronto? Next on The Fan. Oh, they were?
Yeah, it was.
Who?
Was it Nightingale and
Bob Nightingale.
Bob Nightingale
school.
and might have been Passon. How there was going back with he's in Toronto, and then the other one was like, to hell he is. He's in California. It was like a source off.
Where he is. Well, the report, and this is from Sports Illustrated, is that Shohei Ohtani is going to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yes. And that he's like in Toronto.
He's there. Yeah, they're saying that he's in Toronto and they're going to announce it maybe tonight. Because somebody, I think it was Heyman, had it earlier today that the decision was imminent.
Yeah.
And it sounded like it was down to the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. And he's going to Toronto.
Well, so this was Nightingale 2 hours ago, right? Because there was like a grainy Sasquatch footage of Ohtani at the Toronto airport.
Oh God!
And then Nightingale's a legit
Yeah, he is.
USA Today. He's been writing baseball forever. This was his tweet. Shohei Ohtani is not in Toronto. Shohei Ohtani is not on a flight to Toronto. Ohtani is at home, all caps, in Southern California.
Well, he might be at home in Southern California. That also doesn't mean he's not signing with Toronto. Like, who cares where he is? God, he's probably already visited with the team and been up there.
I don't know.
But the report is that he is going to Toronto.
Yeah. Although we were told
Which is
that like,
nuts.
Ohtani had like the biggest secrecy like ploy of all time. So would it leak that he was going to Toronto? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know either, but they're saying that one of the reasons he may go to Toronto is just opening up the market, the Canadian market.
Yeah.
Just basically he's the face of an entire nation already, and now he's got another one. So he's already the face of Japan.
Yeah.
He comes to the US, makes us all hot and bothered over him, and now he's gonna take on another country.
Yeah.
And be the guy up there.
Yeah, and he would be. I mean,
That's smart.
they would adore him there, and
And he'll hit 8,000 home runs in that stadium.
yes, and the idea that he wanted to be in an international city.
Yeah.
Toronto is one of the most international cities in the world. It's an amazing place. So it just seems like a bit of an upset because like Toronto,
I
of
know.
all the places that we're going to land,
How do they even afford that?
arguably the biggest free agent in 30 years in baseball, and Toronto.
Poor Angels.
I don't know how they have do they have
Lots of loonies, lots of toonies.
Do they have giant purse strings up there? I don't know
Yeah,
what
I'm not sure. I thought they already had a high payroll.
That's why I don't know what the payroll situation is.
Well, he's not going there yet officially.
No. And we do know, according to Bob Nightingale, he's not in Toronto. Don't you say that he is.
Highest payrolls
What's the Mets?
Mets by $1 billion, right?
Yeah. The Mets had like a $340 million payroll last
I'm
year.
seeing here Toronto was 7th,
Okay. So
$210 million. So they were right behind the Angels
they can spend.
and the Dodgers.
You just don't really think about Toronto as a big financial player, but
You think he's getting $500 million? He's not even pitching for.
he's not pitching for at least a year. But they did say, at least his agent said, that he is planning to come back and pitch. It just won't be this year, coming off of the Tommy John again. I'll think it starts with 4. With because this is second one on these. I don't think you can give him $500 million, because the only way you give him $500 million is if he pitches. And I don't know. I think mid to high 4s, but I don't think it starts with a 5.
Would you? Okay, so I'm going to give you Soto,
Yeah.
and Judge, or I'm going to give you Ohtani and Vlad. Who's you want?
Do I get Ohtani pitching, or I just roll the dice?
No, let's just go lineup combos for now. Factor in that Bichette will be hitting in front of both of them in Toronto.
I know.
I think I want that.
Boy, I don't know.
I think I want that.
Soto and Judge are. Yeah, but you didn't tell me that you just said which 2 do I want?
Yeah, I'll give you one of the 2.
I think if it was just the 2 players, I think I would take Soto and Judge.
Really?
Soto's 24 years old.
Ohtani? Yeah,
he's
well,
24.
How old's Ohtani?
He ain't 24. And as much as
28.
what?
I'm
I
taking
believe 28.
I'm taking Ohtani and Vlad.
And as much as I love Vlad isn't Judge and Vlad isn't Soto. So
How old's Vladdy? He's only 24.
yeah, he's
too.
young too.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
I do like me so. But if you tell me that I get Ohtani and he's the chance that he's pitching again, then it's a no-brainer.
Or
It's Ohtani, and he's selling tickets like you wouldn't believe.
I'll give you Cal Raleigh, J-Rod.
A dumper. You don't need. What about Ty France? Come on.
I
Cal
don't like
Raleigh's 24 too, I think.
Yeah, see right there, Cal Raleigh, Vlad.
And Julio's
Soto.
24 or 23.
We got sources, Vancouver Ford text line. Ohtani is in Hillsborough about to sign a max contract with the Hops.
With the hops.
Sources.
I thought it was the pickles.
Oh, sources, man. It's the Hops. Pickles.
Maybe he's signing with the Hops because he wants to be Swag's bitch.
Sorry, Will. You've been pushed out.
I would have never seen that coming.
All right, let's get to the club, shall we? I mean, not the club.
Look at you.
I know, dude. I got 1 foot on an airplane.
You got 1 foot. You got a foot and a half.
Hey, man.
You got about 9 toes.
Sunshine awaits me, bro. Tired of this drear.
Come on, it was.
Is that a word? Dreary? Drear?
Well, dreary is.
I know, but
is drear.
Is dreary short for drear? Let's hope it is. In the news is coming up next. Is Portland fun? Here's Will. It's time now on our show for In the News. I am your Notre Newsman. Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much. Today is National Salesperson Day.
Oh, well, to all our sales bros and gals, broettes, bro thems, they thems, go sales.
We have Linda DeWitt.
Mhm.
We have John Ludwig.
The great Ryan Cooley.
Well, he's the manager, though.
He's a sales guy. He's the head sales guy.
Yeah. But he's not, like, on the sales staff, is he?
Yeah, he's the head of the sales staff.
Yeah, but he's more of like a...
Are you?
I'm looking at the...
you're
yeah, I don't
poo-pooing?
think... it. Now, if it said Sales Management Day, Ryan Cooley gets mentioned. I don't think he deserves a mention here.
I love that you're poo-pooing Ryan Cooley.
Not just today, National
today.
Salesperson Day.
Is there a
he
nat-
used to be a salesperson.
Is there a National Sales Manager Day?
Well, I'm sure there is. And in that case, Ryan Cooley gets mentioned.
I do think Cooley sells things, though.
Yeah, but he's manager.
All right, well,
Strike him from the record.
done and done.
Who else do we? I don't even know. It's also National Crossword Solvers Day.
Oh,
You a crossword solver?
I am not. I like is it Sudoku or Sudoku?
Sudoku, yeah.
I like that. But,
Is that the numbers one?
Yeah, that's the numbers one. But I don't do crosswords, mainly because I am a horrible speller, and that really affects my ability to properly crossword. So,
Well, you have Siri. Spell check's right there.
yeah, that's true, but no, I still don't.
True, but screw off.
Yeah.
According to Big Zook.
Yeah.
Is Portland fun?
Oh, I think it is.
I do too.
I like Portland.
The Wallet Hub guys and gals did a list of the most fun cities in America. This is 2024. Now, you know, at Wallet Hub, they don't screw around.
Mm-hmm.
Their methodology is it's quite extensive.
It's beyond reproach.
Well, I mean, it is. Like, they it's not just like, oh, just some guy listed. It's, they compared 182 cities. They took the 150 most populated U.S. cities, and then they took at least 2 of the most populated cities in each state, so as not to leave anyone out.
Sure.
3 key dimensions: 1, entertainment and recreation; 2, nightlife and parties; and 3, the costs. They evaluated those dimensions using 65 metrics. Things like, under entertainment and recreation, number of attractions, TripAdvisor Traveler's Choice Awards, coffee and tea shops per capita, restaurants per capita, diversity of restaurants, ice cream and frozen yogurt shops, bowling alleys,
Nothing says fun like some bowling and froyo.
golf, water and amusement parks, boat tours, marinas, fishing facilities. I mean, it keeps going.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
Sure.
Bike rental facilities, sports venues, movie theaters, nightlife and parties. It's all about the bars and, you know, music venues and things like that. Casinos, even comedy clubs.
See, some of that stuff I think we're lacking, but I think we bring a decent punch. I mean, we're not New Orleans or Vegas, but
Beer gardens,
I think
another one.
we do okay.
And then costs, of course, that's
Yeah.
pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so where do you think Portland ranked? 182 cities on this list.
I'm gonna say we're top 25. I'm gonna go with like
We are.
Yeah, we're going like 23, 24.
13th.
Oh, better than I thought.
Pretty good.
Nice.
Number 1 is Las Vegas,
Of course.
shockingly.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Orlando.
Oh, all right.
3 is Miami.
Well, Orlando is, you know, that's Disney. So
Yeah,
I mean,
they got a lot of stuff. Well,
everything.
Orlando's just sprawling fun.
Yes,
I
there's
feel
a
like.
there's a lot to do in Orlando, and then yeah, Miami. Yeah, again, you can get into anything in Miami.
So Portland finished 13th, right behind Denver, right ahead of St. Louis, which is weird.
Why is that weird?
Well, it's just not that great.
St. Louis?
Been there many times. Yeah.
I can't say I've spent any significant amount of time.
It's
in
okay.
St. Louis.
It's fine.
Like New York's got to be up there, right? I mean,
New York,
although cost, but
10th.
How is New York 10th? You're telling me that what's
10th.
what's like 4, 5, 6?
Okay, so Vegas, Orlando, Miami, your top 3.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Atlanta, 4. Atlanta's fun.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
San Francisco, 5.
Yeah.
New Orleans, 6.
Yeah.
Austin, 7.
See,
Chicago, 8.
again,
Honolulu, 9. And New York, 10.
all right, that's not as bad as I thought. There's not, but like like Austin.
Well, some of those you probably forgot about.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty fun.
those are fun. But, I
Chicago
mean,
is very fun.
New York has everything. The only thing about New York would be cost. But I mean,
Yeah, that probably brought it down.
you can make a strong argument. No offense to Vegas, but that New York is one. I mean, my God, what?
Well, again, you just said. I mean, cost was
It's gotta
is
be.
20% of this metric, so that
Vegas is really expensive though too.
yeah, that's
Unless
true.
you're staying at like the
But it
Stratosphere.
can also be cheap.
Yeah, that's true.
Portland 13, and then Seattle was 22nd.
Suck it, Seattle.
In your face.
Boom.
Vancouver, Washington is on the list.
Hey, look at us.
Where do you suppose?
You said 100 and what?
182.
And we're 168.
181.
Well, I will tell you, 182 is Pearl City, Hawaii.
Can't say
I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
There's really no major cities in the bottom, 25 or so. There are a lot of towns and cities in the Central Valley of California, in there, like Fresno and all that garbage through there.
Bakersfield.
Exactly. Vancouver finished. Where'd it go?
I don't know. Haven't seen the list.
It's right here in front of me. 132.
Not too shabby, Vancouver.
No, 148.
Still not too shabby. I'll take it.
They are below Augusta, Georgia.
Well, I mean that's got the
And-
that's got the Masters. What do you want from us? We can't compete with that.
Below Little Rock, Arkansas. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Dude, that's a blow. That's a low blow.
Well,
Cedar Rapids?
Cedar Rapids hurts.
Come on, man.
Cedar Rapids hurts. The,
Tacoma is 119.
Little Rock, I can't complain with Little Rock, but yeah, Cedar Rapids, I like the Couth. Plus, you're 10 minutes away from Portland.
Juneau, Alaska, very boring.
Yeah, that place
Not
sucks.
fun.
No, it rains all the time.
It's below Vancouver.
Yeah. Having been to both, trust me, you want to go to Vancouver. The only thing about Juneau is like when you go on one of those cruises, you stop there for like a day and you're like, all right, moving on.
The largest city that is the lowest is Newark, New Jersey, which ranked 132nd on the list of fun.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty low. Salem, Oregon, 121. More fun than Vancouver, which that's also a bit of a blow.
Yeah, you're telling me that Salem's better than Vancouver?
That's what they're telling
That's
you.
a hard pass. That's not true.
It's more fun. They didn't say better.
That's more fun. What's there to do in Salem?
Well, Cincinnati's 11th, and I have a real problem with that. So maybe we should just throw this entire list out.
Well, their chili's fun.
Yeah, I don't
The Skyline Chili?
I like it.
Overrated.
I'm not down. If chili's the best thing that you got going for you, I'm out.
You guys are fuddy-duddies. That's a great chili.
Skyline Chili.
It's fantastic.
I've had it.
Like the cheese and onions and all that.
Yeah.
Get
It
outta
just
here.
tasted like chili.
Chili is
Let me
great.
just say this for the record.
I do think chili's great too, but
One of the most overrated foods, chili. I will never seek out chili, ever.
I don't view chili as a meal.
I don't
No.
like your taste buds.
It's an
It's like a
accoutrement.
soup.
Yeah, no,
It's not a soup.
I've never
is.
once gone into a restaurant and been like, you know what I want? Chili. Chili it's the same thing with spaghetti.
Well,
It
'cause you don't know what
happens-
you're getting.
It happens to you.
With chili,
Yeah,
you could order the chili and it could be something totally different than what you expected.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of
variations. Again, I may be at someone's house and they're like, hey, we're having some chili, or like you go and like cooking chili.
I gotta
but
tell you.
I've never gone into a restaurant and been like, can't wait to order the chili.
If I go to someone's house
like a
and
meatloaf.
and they say we're having chili,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I won't say anything, but I'm a little disappointed. I'm like,
true.
chili, that's it? That's what you made?
What if they have world's famous chili? Like
What
I
is
used
that?
to go to like a chili feed where everyone would make all their different kinds of chili. It was good.
Yeah, all right.
All
Well,
of them.
We had a chili cook-off here at the Fan, and I hate to do this because he doesn't need a bigger head. The best
Swaggy.
chili I've ever had
Yeah.
is Jason Swaggart's
Swaggy
chili.
Poops has a great chili.
Now
There's
that-
no question.
I would be happy to eat.
But still, if you went over to Swag's house and he said, I'm just gonna make my chili, I'm like, that's it?
no, because knowing what that chili is, I'm fine with that. But that's like a once in a like 100 chili that you get. Every really chili that I've ever seen, like when you get like a chili dog or a chili burger, it just looks disgusting. And like the visual presentation, it's not good. It's terrible.
How sleep deprived are Oregon and Washington compared to other states? I have another list.
I have no idea.
That's coming up next. It's 448 on The Fan.
It's the Fan on
Yeah, we've got a lot of hot chili takes here. Someone called chili a topping.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm not against that.
I
know.
am for that.
It's true.
But it's a topping that I don't like. If you gave me the choice between like a delicious Chicago dog or like a dog covered in chili, I'll just give me a hot dog. Give me a nice broad. I don't need chili on that.
Someone else says Cincinnati chili isn't really chili like you traditionally think of it. It's Mediterranean meat sauce brought over by immigrants. It's flavored with cinnamon, oregano, and other Mediterranean spices.
Doesn't look good to me.
Well, I've had that famous chili, and it was from Cincinnati, right? What do they call it? Isn't
They
that
call
what-
it Skyline
Skyline
chili.
chili.
It's very good. I like it.
I've had it, and I'm not saying it's bad. It's just
It's different.
it's fine.
It's good.
How sleep deprived is Oregon and Washington? How sleep deprived is Oregon and Washington?
I don't know.
Another
Like,
list for you.
compared to everyone else.
Yeah, all
I-
50 states, bro.
What are we being? I don't know. Sleep deprived. I don't sleep. I don't complain about it. Deal with it.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal, but suck it up. I sleep for crap.
Sound like Dan Lanning. Sleep's a choice.
I am with Dan Lanning. Again, this goes back to my original thing about like Buck and parents always complaining about being tired. Okay, cool. Do it anyways. Oh, I'm so tired. Go to bed earlier. Wake up later. I'll figure it out. Schwarzenegger, who is one of my all-time heroes. That's,
Arnold.
Arnold always does the, we all have the same 24 hours. And for one of his favorite quotes is, someone's like, well, I need my 8 to 9 hours. Arnold goes, well, then sleep a little faster. We got things to do. I don't want to hear about that you only got 4 or 5 hours. Get up and get your ass going.
California is the most sleep-deprived state, this study has revealed.
All that blow they're doing.
Yeah, that was to be, isn't that predictable?
Yeah, it's
California won.
Yeah.
I would have thought maybe Nevada, just because
Maybe
no
Miami.
one sleeps there.
No, Miami. Got things to do.
Maryland
I thought
is,
New York.
well, New York's 3, Maryland is 2, and New York is 3.
Yeah.
Oregon, middle of the pack, Washington, even better,
We're pretty laid back.
a little lower.
Right?
But it's all like the boring ass states that are like the least sleep deprived. Montana 1, South Dakota 2, Idaho 3, Wyoming 4, and Iowa 5.
What are you stressed out about if you're in Montana?
Hey, what do you want to do today? I don't know. Sleep. Hey, what's there to do today? Nothing. Sleep.
Yeah, what are you stressed about? Like paying your rent in like Sioux Falls? Like you can't come up with like some rodent teeth and buffalo chips like once a month to pay your rent? You're fine. What are you stressed about? You're good to go out there.
Grizzly bears. They're attacking a lot. Moose.
Stressed out there.
50 pounds of fentanyl seized in a major bust in Portland.
I'm guessing that's a lot of fentanyl.
50 pounds?
Yeah. I don't know how much fentanyl that like. Is that going to be one of those that's like, it's enough to kill every man, woman in the United States?
I always love the evidence shots where they have the money and the guns and the
Yeah.
drugs laying on the
Yeah,
table.
got
You
it.
know,
Yeah.
man, if I were a cop, I would so raid that evidence closet.
I think it happens from time to time.
God,
There was once where remain nameless, but I was riding with a buddy of mine once, and you ever just have like the armrest there, and like you see a bunch, like you open it up, you're like, hey, what do you got going in there?
in someone else's?
Yeah,
No,
where you-
I never do that.
where you just it's not like clothes or anything, but you can just see like under the armrest they have a bunch of stuff. Maybe there's some gum, maybe there's a pen, whatever. And I saw something in there, and I lifted up the armrest. Yeah, it was drugs, and I was like, whoa. He's like, I got to enter that into the evidence, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah, right.
I was like, yeah, we
Dude
do.
is taking that home.
And a big old rope.
Oh yeah, no, I'm putting it in evidence. I forgot.
He was like,
Yeah,
I got to take that into evidence, and I was like, this is the only time
Yeah,
I've
did
ever.
you watch him take that into evidence?
I did not.
There you go. That went home. Deputies found more than 52 pounds of fentanyl powder at a Portland location, nearly all of which had been stored in a single trash bag inside a box. So if you're wondering what it looks like that.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, just a box.
Yeah.
Fentanyl in there. 50 pounds.
Got a couple guns in there, stacks of hundies.
Over 8,000 pills, $30,000 in cash, and of course it always comes with guns.
You got to, man. Look, when you're in the fentanyl game, you got to be strapped.
Bunch of people arrested. I'm trying to street value of that. It doesn't say how much that would cost on the streets.
I will say that, like, for every one of these, like, it's awesome that they got this off the street, but
Does it even matter?
yeah, does it even
Does it make a dent?
exactly? Not even a dent. Do we scratch the fentanyl trade? Or is who's ever supplying that just laughing? Like, that's the one you got? Cool.
That's your in the news for December 8, 2023. Do you guys like sports at all? Because if you do, we've got the sports news coming up next. Shohei Ohtani, it appears, has made a decision, although nothing is official. And the latest on a couple of key quarterback injuries in the NFL. That's next on The Fan. We've got Will Ortner in here today. Schulte has bailed on us yet again.
Making choices to be sick again, I see. Schulte, I'm disgusted. Maybe it's all that McDonald's that he's eating.
Yeah, we found out yesterday.
That's
Schulte,
alarming.
a big McDonald's P1. Like
every day?
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know about every day,
he's a
but
fan.
I'll tell you this. You know how fired up he gets about the Mariners?
Yeah.
He got about that fired up about McDonald's and some of the, like menu items and the prices. And
Like you could tell, like he didn't want, like it's weird because no one wants to admit. It's like being a fan of like the Backstreet Boys. Like no one wants to admit that you like the Backstreet Boys, but they've sold like 100 million albums, so someone's buying them. Very few people are like, where I eat all the time? McDonald's.
That's true.
But you can't hide it. Like you could hear the passion in his voice.
He's into it.
He's into McDonald's.
He's into it. And he even admitted that he gets 2 double cheesemburgers when he goes.
No, yeah, two double cheeses,
cheeseburgers.
a fry, and then like some
soda.
nuggies.
No.
Wasn't that a number 8 or something like that?
2 double cheeseburgers?
I thought, or maybe that's just 2 hamburgers.
2 cheeseburgers.
Maybe that's what
I
it
love
is.
that one. But he said if he doesn't get the 2 double cheeseburgers, he'll have the
Oh, I thought he got the
chicken
nuggies
nuggets.
on top of it.
No. Come on.
Well,
There's only one
Come on.
reason to go to McDonald's.
And that is?
M&M McFlurry.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Isn't that a bastardized Blizzard?
yes.
Well, yeah, but it's cheaper.
Is it?
Blizzards
know.
aren't that cheap.
Blizzards are expensive.
Oh, by the way, we had the
Very
whole
good.
fast food expensive talk yesterday.
Yeah.
Hit us last night. So me and the lady and some friends, we went to Ali Wong last night.
Okay.
Up at Ale Day. Delightful. Grand old time. So, afterwards, beverages are had, we're hanging out, and it's now we got to go home. So it's on the way home, and, at this point, you're getting a little hungry. There's not a whole lot open at
Taco Bell? I thought your girl liked Taco
She
Bell.
loves Taco Bell. So it's like 1:30 in the morning, and
Okay.
I'm trying to find anything other than Taco Bell. I'm like, we tried like Muchos Gracias, so we tried like
Because you don't want Taco Bell?
I hate Taco Bell.
Yeah, it's awful.
I can't stand it. But it's nothing. So like we begrudgingly roll into Taco Bell. And this is and I was like, we just had this conversation. So she orders 2 hard tacos, right? And a nacho. There's like a little, not like a nacho's big thing, just a little tiny nacho. It had like 8 chips in it and a cup of cheese. And I got a burrito.
Sensible.
Whatever burrito was on the, it was just like whatever they were advertising. I got a burrito and we got a small Diet Coke. That's it.
Okay.
2 tacos, a burrito, 8 chips, and a Diet Coke.
$18.
17.
Wow.
How is that $17? What
Taco
happened?
Bell's expensive nowadays, dude.
Well, Will wasn't here yesterday.
That was the whole conversation.
We had a whole conversation about how fast food is not
Yeah.
that cheap
It was like
anymore.
$16.88 or whatever, and I just sat there and was like, what? I thought tacos were like 9 cents.
There is one taco that is still cheap at one fast food spot.
And that?
Jack in the Box, dude. The 2 tacos, those are still $1. Otherwise,
Really?
it's expensive.
I needed to check the receipt. Did the burrito that I ordered, was that like a $13 burrito? What?
They might have just overcharged you.
I don't know. Maybe it was like the
They're like, look at
130.
these idiots.
What are you going to do? It's 1:30
What
in
are
the
you
morning.
gonna come in here and get your $5 back? Yeah, bring it.
Oh, believe me, my lady was not letting me pull away. Those tacos were like that. Mind was set on those tacos.
Do you check the bag when you
No,
when they hand it to you? You don't?
No.
I don't really either.
Like,
I
what,
should.
if I get screwed over, well, yeah, it's the
Should have checked.
it's the cost of doing business. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I was like, I can't believe we just had this conversation, and sure enough, almost $17 for nothing, for a couple hard tacos and a burrito. And let me tell you, the burrito,
No way.
yeah, shocker.
Shocker there.
The little nacho cup was the best part about that whole thing.
Probably the Diet Coke would have been my favorite.
Yeah.
And I hate Diet Coke.
Yeah.
All right, Rob in the Bank is next. Joey Harrington will join us after that. We'll recap what went wrong with Oregon and the Washington Pac-12 title game. Right now, the hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victorricos.com. Number 5.
Ohio State receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. says he is undecided about entering the NFL draft.
Horse crap.
He says he wants to beat Michigan and win the Big Ten. Unfinished business.
Yeah, there's people out there saying that he could have an NIL deal equal to a rookie receiver contract. That's going to be about $23 million. There's no way that someone's giving him $23 million to come back for another year at Ohio State. Shut up. And by the way, he won the Blitnikoff Award tonight.
Yeah, as he should, right?
And he won it by one. I thought I would have done it to a Dunze.
Did Dunze lose by one vote?
One vote.
Wow.
Closest vote they've ever had in one of these awards.
So are Washington fans now going to scour internet for that one voter and blame them?
It's funny that one of the athletic writers that I follow, he was like, he's the one that said that, and he goes, just so you know, I'm the reason why he won, because he voted for Harrison Jr. But Odunze was the best receiver in college football this year.
He was awesome.
In my opinion.
Number 4.
DeBoer, all the way, coach of the year at those awards.
Duke is hiring Penn State defensive coordinator Manny Diaz as their head coach.
Dude, he did. People may not realize it because Penn State's offense is terrible, but he did a phenomenal job with that defense.
Yeah, their defense was about as good, if not better, than Iowa's.
It was really good.
So he'll be the new Duke head coach. Ducks cornerback Kyrie Jackson announces he is turning pro, headed to the NFL, or maybe the CFL. I don't know.
He's there for 1 year. Thanks for coming. Tip of the cap, so he will not be playing in the bowl game.
There's a 4-star receiver by the name of Jordan Anderson who has announced a decommitment from Oregon today. And in the transfer portal, we finally have some actual quarterback movement. The kid from Baylor, who's very experienced, he's been around forever.
Yeah, he's got good numbers.
His name is Blake Shapen. He has transferred to Mississippi State.
You would assume that whole Dylan Gabriel rumor to Mississippi State is no longer.
Well, that was the odds.
Yeah.
It wasn't a rumor.
Yeah,
it was
the
just
odds.
the odds were that he was going to go there. And that's just because Levy, his OC, went there to be head coach. So the Ducks could be in on Dylan Gabriel soon. Bronny James is back for USC. He's expected to make his college debut on Sunday against Long Beach State.
That's an awesome story. I mean, because that is absolutely scary. Died on the court at practice not too long ago, and they revived him, and I guess he had some sort of procedure on his heart, and they're giving him the clean bill of health, and away you go.
Meanwhile, his daddy continues to dominate, dropping 30 on the Pelicans last night, and he has his Lakers in the in-season tournament finals. Put it on your iCal, set an alarm. Lakers-Pacers tomorrow night.
LeBron did say that when Bronny plays his first game, no matter when it is, LeBron is skipping the Laker game if there is, and he's going to be at his son's game.
Well, he's lucky because his game's tomorrow and Bronny's is on Sunday.
Yes. He said he
wouldn't that be something if he missed the play-in tournament final?
He came out and said no matter where it is, he said he's told everyone on his team he's skipping whatever he needs to be, and skipping whatever is on his calendar to go be with his son.
Your Blazers are back in action tonight. They host Dallas. The Mavericks are 12-8. They are 4th in the NBA in offensive efficiency. The Seahawks have brought back Sean Mannion to the practice squad. Remember, they lost Brett Rippon. So Drew Lock's still a backup. Geno Smith is banged up. He has a groin injury, and he's still got that tricep injury, so they're listing him questionable for Sunday's game.
He did not practice today.
Thursday, that's pretty dicey.
Yeah.
The Jags are going to wait until Sunday to make the call on QB Trevor Lawrence. They're playing in Cleveland. And Derek Carr was just cleared out of concussion protocol. He will start for no one's Saints. Or maybe I can call them your Saints. I don't know. I hate the Saints. I think that coach is
that whole division is an
It's terrible.
abomination.
It really is. I still think the Saints might be the best team in that division.
At 5-7.
And they're terrible.
And someone in that division's hosting a playoff game.
Stupid.
Number one.
Now, I'm sorry I do not have anything concrete for you for number one, but this is big news, and this is the scuttlebutt. Oh, there's Bo Nix. Bo and his family. Is that his wife or his sister?
That's his wife.
That's his wife?
Yep. So they're handing out, outside of the Heisman, all of the college
Yeah.
awards, the big ones, are being handed out tonight.
Look at Mr. and Mrs. Nix.
Yeah, they're very.
They're very.
It's a picture
very
frame
proper.
family.
Yeah.
Right. It's when you buy a frame at Walmart, the Nix family comes in it.
Yeah. Does he have siblings? Bo Nix?
I don't know.
Only
Tez
child?
Johnson.
Oh yeah, Tez was
Tez,
yeah. In case you didn't know, they'll tell you that every 7 seconds. And they all love the Lord.
Yeah, that they do.
Yes.
Shohei Ohtani, the report is his decision is imminent, and there are reports that he has chosen the Toronto Blue Jays to go play.
Boy,
Now, this is not official.
No.
But the Dodgers were the other team thought to be in the final two.
I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a lineup sliding him into that.
Yeah, he'll be batting likely in between Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah. If only he had ever been on a
Damn.
team with another great superstar like a Mike Trout or something.
Dude, wouldn't that be something? If imagine okay, so he's gonna probably bat next to Vlad Guerrero Jr. Okay,
Yeah.
you have Juan Soto and Aaron Judge,
Mhm.
but what if you had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout in the same line?
There's no way you could lose, right?
I don't think they lose a game.
No. Just hand him not 1, not 2, not 3. And by the way, they did say that Trout is not going to get moved this offseason.
Yeah, Trout, like he's yesterday's news anyway. No one cares.
Yeah,
By the way, the Angels got Evan White from the Mariners today. That dude's getting passed around like a rack of ribs.
You pass around a rack of ribs?
I don't know why I said that.
How about you? I hoard my ribs. I'm not passing
This
those
is
around.
the first thing that came to mind. Maybe I've got ribs on my mind.
It's possible.
Wonder why. The Hot 5 at 5 is brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now at victorricos.com. Joey Harrington in 15 minutes. We will rob the bank. It's back next on The Fan.
The home of Dirt and Spray.
I'm not going to poo-poo it. I'm not going to throw cold water on it. I'm glad that the NBA bro is happy about this. I'm glad that you're happy. That's all that matters to me.
Well, you could be happy with me.
I mean, I'll check it out.
Even the better thing for you, the first semifinals at 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
Oh,
afternoon.
Now I'm all
check.
in. You give me an afternoon cup check?
That's
I'm
right in your
in.
wheelhouse.
That's perfect. That's like bedtime for me.
Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on 1080 The Fan.
Now, here's a quick look at Portland traffic.
If you're traveling northbound I-5 beginning around Iowa Street, heading to 205, it's going to be about a 30-minute drive with 15-minute delays. If you're heading southbound at Terwilliger Boulevard to 217, it's less than a 10-minute drive. That's traffic. I'm Ken Luttrell.
Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
The Portland Winterhawks, the coolest team in PDX. Watch future NHL stars in the heart of the Rose City and experience the fun and excitement of Winterhawks hockey. Skate on by and get your tickets now at winterhawks.com.
Do you like helping people and want a career that truly makes a difference? Allied Universal, the contracted security partner for TriMet, has immediate openings for transit security officers and command center operators throughout the Portland metro area. In these important roles, you'll help ensure the safety of TriMet riders and employees. Security officer jobs start at more than $27 an hour with medical, dental, and vision coverage. Learn more and apply today at trimet.org/safe. That's trimet.org/safe.
Commercial Industrial Auctioneers is holding their car, truck, and heavy equipment public auction this Saturday on site and online. This auction includes trailers, tractors, box
Schultze, 4-4-1, minus 3 units. We have Will Ortner right now at 0-0, but he's going to drop some locks on us here.
And he is a degenerate gambler. In fact, it might have cost him his last relationship. So there is a bit of a problem here, and I love it.
I took a gamble, and someone didn't like it.
Hey, man, you made the right choice. You made the right choice.
Did you fart?
No.
I think that choice was made for me.
What else could? There's nothing.
It stinks in here. Something just.
Really?
Is someone trying to kill us?
I don't smell it. Are you?
Yes, I smell it. That's why I asked if you farted.
That's a little weird that I don't smell it. We're like 5 feet.
You did just break your nose.
No, that was like 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
We're back up and running.
We got a lot to get to because we can squeeze in bowl games if you guys want. I know Buck did. He sent me his picks. He's got like 8,000 bowl games on there. I've got a few bowl picks.
I got a couple bowls.
We can start there or we start the NFL. It's up to you. I'll let you have the honors.
I'm starting off. I love my unders. Love my unders. And I think this game has hit. Last year was like the exception. I think it hit the previous 16 games it hit the under. So we're starting off with a bang. We're going
Army-Navy?
Army-Navy.
What's the over-under?
28.5.
Oh, my God.
28.5. We're starting off with a bang. 5 units.
Whoa.
On the under. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go, baby.
And that's like self-explanatory. Like you don't even have to say why you're taking that.
No.
It's Army-Navy.
It's Army-Navy.
It's understood.
And let me just go with this. Another 5 units because I am riding a 5-week heater. And I'm not getting bucked off right now. Bowl game, Iowa, Tennessee.
What's the under? 36?
36. That's giving me money. You know what? 10 units. Screw it. 10 units.
Oh, my God. That's insane.
I love it. Let's go.
I will take the Washington Huskies plus 4.5. I believe the game against Texas is going to be an absolute barn burner, and I think Washington is going to win outright 44-40. I was thoroughly impressed with how they shoved Oregon around, and I know Texas has more 5 stars, but I think Kalen DeBoer is going to outcoach Steve Sarkisian over these 4 weeks to get ready for that game. And I think catching 4.5 for the Huskies with a quarterback like Penix getting healthy, time to rest. Oh, baby. I love it. So I'm going to go 5 units on my Huskies plus 4.5.
I'll throw 3 units on that as well because that's another one of the bowl games that I like. And by the way, throw me 3 units on Bama. I'll just go and get my college ones out. I'm taking UW and I'm taking Bama. Okay. I'm getting points in both of those, and I do think it's going to be UW and Bama winning outright.
You are logged, sir. Will.
The only college stuff that I have right now is the under in the Army-Navy game. I haven't looked at any of the bowls. I think for those, you kind of have to wait until who's playing and who's not playing.
Right.
So those are probably going to be like a game time decision for me. This weekend in the NFL, I want Detroit Lions minus 3.5 against the Bears. That's actually plus money right now on the DraftKings app. I think the Lions are going to go in there and work them. They got embarrassed last time. They didn't think that much of the Bears. Bears kept it close. I think they smash them.
Wait, how is it plus money? What are you talking about? It's minus 3.5.
Plus 100.
Is it really?
The odds are plus 100 right
so
now.
it means about to go to 3. So what? How many units you want in that?
I'll go 5. I'll go 5.
That boy Balla. It's a baller move right out of the
Feeling
gate.
confident.
I'm gonna go with Seattle now. The spread's 11. They're playing in San Francisco. The Geno Smith thing scares me a little bit, but I honestly, Geno Smith, Drew Lock, whatever. This is a trap game for San Francisco. They're riding high, coming off that Philly win, and just beat Seattle by 17 the other day. I just think this spread is way too high. I just think the market is overinflated on San Francisco. That's a really good team, but this is a divisional game. Seattle needs it. I just think that's too many points. I don't know who wins the game, but I'll gladly take 11, and I'm going to go with 5 units on that.
Oh, I like it. All right, I'm going to go with this one here in Buffalo. I just think Buffalo is a bit of a sinking ship. Kansas City may not be great, but this is at Kansas City, and Kansas City 1.5. It's basically a pick'em game. I'm going to go ahead and I'll go 3 units, and I'll put my money on Kansas City.
Okay. I've got Dallas minus 3.5. I would like that to drop back down to 3, but I missed that window.
Yeah.
I just think this is another divisional game. Philly already won the first one. Jalen Hurts banged up. Dallas has a lot to prove because everybody's talking about how they haven't beaten good teams. They beat up on bad teams. I just feel like the Eagles are not the same as they were last year, and while still very good, Dallas is going to get them in this spot right here. So I've got Dallas minus 3.5 for 5 unis.
See, I actually went opposite of you here. I have the Eagles plus 3.5. Why? This is where the dumb part of my brain comes in. But do I want to be on Sunday going, how did I bet the Cowboys and Dak Prescott to beat the NFC champion from last year? That's really all where my brain is going. I feel like the Eagles can beat them up front. Lane Johnson's still an incredible tackle, and I think he can neutralize Parsons or at least minimize his effectiveness. And I think that the Eagles are going to win this game.
How many unis?
Give me 2.
Oh,
Not as confident.
that's pretty weak.
That's fine.
All right, back to Big Sook.
This is at 12.5, and you know I hate 12.5.
You looking at Miami?
I'm looking at Miami.
That's 13.5.
It's up to 13.5 now.
On DraftKings, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I got it at 12.5, but 13.5. Screw it.
What's the difference?
Well,
It's still under 2 touchdowns.
It's still under 2 touchdowns. Miami against bad teams, like go back to that. Like this is very similar. Like when they played Washington, they just shred bad teams. And Tennessee right now is a bad team. And Miami's defense is playing better. And Tennessee cannot stop a nosebleed. They are going to get absolutely mauled by the Dolphins. And the Dolphins don't take their foot off the gas. The Dolphins are going to score 40 points in this game. So I will gladly lay the 2 touchdowns. And I'm going to go 4 units. The Dolphins blow out sneaky one of the worst teams in the NFL.
You say 4?
4 units.
Okay. I got one more. I'm going to go back to college, and I'm going to put this on the board because I've already bet it. I bet it up at A. And I know college games can be dicey, as we were talking about with Hugh yesterday, because we don't know who plays and who doesn't. But I'm going motivation factor here. I'm taking Georgia, and I laid 13 points over Florida State. Now, I know Georgia will have some opt-outs, but there's also the line of thinking that they're pissed off to show the committee that they should be in the tournament. Florida State you would think has that same motivation, but I think they're actually demoralized. They're starting to lose everybody. And oh, by the way, even if they all play, they don't have a quarterback. Georgia, they're not going to score. I have this game 77-10. Georgia over Florida State. I'm going to go 3 units because it is a bowl game. We may have some opt-outs, but I like the Bulldogs. I've already bet it, and I'll toss it on the drop in the bank, Segi. All right, Will, you're last.
All right, last one. I've got Houston Texans minus 3.5 against the Jets. I feel like this is where the Jets quit. Like, the defense has been so good, but you have to go back to Wilson. Boyle sucked. Simeon sucked. There's nothing to play for the Jets, and I think Houston's going to go in, and I think they're going to beat up on them. I'm going to go 3 units there. And then if you want to bet tonight, I would bet the NHL Edmonton against Winnipeg game. Bet the over, 6.5. Super fun.
I'll just go ahead and leave that off. Look, it's hockey, but it's a bonus bet for the people looking for some Friday night action.
Edmonton versus Minnesota. Bet the over, 6.5. Super fun.
Why?
I don't know. I just
do I
love
even
betting
need to ask them?
overs.
I love that. Why? I don't know.
Life's too short to bet the under. Find a hockey game, bet the over. It's fun. It is fun to watch goals go in the net.
All right, that's a wrap in the bank. Joey Harrington joins us next. He will break down what went wrong for the Ducks against the Huskies in the Pac-12 and where did the Ducks go from here. It is 5:28. Here's Will.
This is a Football Friday edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now.
since that?
No.
No.
And it almost feels like so long ago that we shouldn't even bring it up. But I got to know your
And
thoughts,
there's
man.
there's a little bit of Voldemort to it as well, where it's like he who shall not be named. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need to do it.
We don't need to, but I really am curious what you thought of that, because we were all stunned. I know we were all were on the same page about what might happen. What did you see? Like, how did it go down in your eyes?
Ready? You ready for this?
Yes.
I'm going to drop knowledge. Straight scientific knowledge.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
They just got beat. They did. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It wasn't poor decisions on fourth down. It wasn't poor game management. It wasn't dearth of turnovers. It wasn't poor scouting or game plans. They just got pushed around. Oregon's front on both sides of the ball got pushed around in a way that they hadn't all year. Washington ran the ball at will, and Oregon, at one point in the fourth quarter, Bucky had 22 yards rushing. Yeah. Like it just they got beat.
If I had played your comments right there to you before the game, what would you have said? Like, you'd be like, "There's no way," right? I mean,
I would have said I'm surprised, absolutely, because there wasn't a team, even in the game that they lost to Washington during the middle of the year. Oregon ran the ball down Washington's road. I mean, they ran it at will, and they pressured. They got some pressure on Penix. They couldn't do anything up front. And Suk, you can talk about this more than I can, having been there. Like, it didn't look like scheme.
No.
It didn't look like, it just looked like Washington was winning the one-on-one matchups. Like, there were times when, Oregon would bring pressure and, God, we got a safety coming right up the gut. And here comes the running back, just bam. Yeah. And literally just stepped up right in that A gap and just stuffed him.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, Suk. Like,
yeah,
sometimes you just get overpowered.
Yeah, I used to, one of my favorite expressions, as my coach used to say all the time, was they're on scholarship too. Like, sometimes they're good. Like you mentioned, Dylan Johnson was amazing in blitz pickup. I do think that you can't make excuses for anything because Washington was just better, but you were down a starting corner and another one went out. And I think Washington having all four receivers put Oregon in a little bit of a bind, because you saw their safeties were not able to cover Washington slots. They just couldn't do it. They didn't have enough guys to cover.
It was a huge difference. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then when they would try to come down into help with the run, they weren't physical enough. So it was like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like when they would try to go with a smaller unit on the field, they got bullied. And when they tried to go to coverage, it didn't work. They couldn't cover all of Washington's receivers. And so again, it ended up being kind of a bad matchup. But yeah, I just think one side was more physical. Like, I haven't seen people get the edge on Oregon all year. And they were just running that little just toss play. And they were getting sealed and they were getting kicked out. And I'm with you. You just didn't see that. I mean, all year. It didn't happen. It certainly didn't happen in the first one. And so when Washington was able to do that, you got the sense about a quarter into that game that they could do what they wanted. Where he's like, hey, you want to come down heavy into the box? Cool. Watch us throw it to the outside, or we'll run that little toss crack on you. And you want to play in coverage? Here it comes. And you can't stop it. Birch being out certainly didn't help. And you can't make excuses, but it just kind of seemed to snowball. And the defense never got their footing, ever.
And here's the thing, though. All that being said, and all that is true, Oregon still had the lead with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
I know.
And that's the part that stinks.
That's the part. Like, even through all of that, the subpar, that was probably that was, I don't want to say the worst performance by the defense of the season. Against the best team. So how do you categorize that? But and even with the poor running, like both still had them with a lead and a couple minutes left in the fourth quarter. That one. I think the reason, well, for many reasons, but one of the reasons why that one stings so much, and my oldest Jack, we were sitting on the couch talking last night. He's like, Dad, this would have been a really good year for Oregon to be in the playoffs. I was like, yeah, you're right. This was a year where you didn't have a dominant Georgia. You didn't have a returning national champion with Stetson Bennett. You didn't have Nick Saban lining up, Heisman Trophy tailbacks one after another. This was a year that the field seemed a bit more open. And there have been years in the past where Oregon has had very good teams, but then you hit that one elite program and it's like, oh, that's the difference. I don't think there's that much difference between those top 4, 6, 7 teams this year.
No, that's why I think Washington's better than Texas. I think they'll beat them. And I think Washington has a chance to win the whole thing. They're not the favorite, but I think they're capable if they play the way they did against Oregon and they get healthy. And I think that's the other thing. They were finally healthy. Oregon had been relatively healthy all year. Washington hadn't. And it came out afterwards, all the guys dealing with stuff, but they got a couple safeties back. They got their big nose tackle that finally was playing on 2 legs. The running back finally got healthy. Penix certainly looked the best he had in 2 months with whatever he was dealing with. So they got healthy at the right time. And a healthy Washington, just like I said, I think if Oregon would have gotten in, I'm with you. I think there's a chance for whatever team was coming out of the pack, Oregon or Washington. I think they have a legitimate chance, and I'm not certain if we've been able to say that before.
I'm really kind of between a rock and a hard place here. I got to admit, I've been going around in circles on this. Maybe you can help me figure it out. I always root for in both seasons. I always root for the Pac-12, right? You always for the whole if a Pac-12 school is playing an SEC school, I want the Pac-12 to win, right? Screw them. I said this to a friend the other day who's a Washington grad. I was like, I think I'm going to root for Washington in the semis. But then I don't know if I can root for them to win the national championship. I don't think I can.
Yeah. I brought that up on the show this past week. I was quickly shouted down.
It was not a go.
There was no support for Washington from the Duck faithful. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I don't think I can put aside the, if we're playing neutral site, bowl games, against the Big 12 or okay, cool. Put it aside for a day and go, let's go beat up on Ole Miss or Mississippi, whatever it is. But if we're talking about Washington winning, having 1.5 national championships before we get one, that doesn't sit right. I'm sorry. I don't like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
6-minute abs instead of 7. It's just no, you can't even get a good workout. No.
Look, I get it. As a Duck, I would expect you to say that. As a neutral observer, like myself, I got to tell you, I kind of want Washington to win because I think it would be hilarious if the Pac-12 won the whole thing
and died
with everything that's gone down in the Pac-12.
And I do too, which is why I'm so conflicted. But I'm not conflicted.
You're not.
Because
you don't want them to win. Yeah, you're a true Duck. You don't want them to win.
I don't want them to win.
Well, that was brutal. But you're right. They were up was it 24-20 with 5 minutes left?
So it was 21-3, and then Oregon scored to go 21-10, and then they reeled off 21 in a row. So it was, 31... Was that 31-24 at one point?
31-20...
Maybe 27?
No, I thought they were down 20. I thought they were down 21-3 and scored 21 straight.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, what was the final score?
Well, I think it was. I think they were up 27-24.
They lost by 3, so it was like 34-31, or was it 37-34?
I don't know. Maybe they were up 31-27. Who cares?
They won by a field goal. It was another 3.
Tell you what.
It was another 3-point game, and then the one that
is what it was.
and you look at just how close it was. I mean, and it was the right call, but the Penix incomplete. I mean, a millisecond earlier, and that's a fumble. And then, the Knicks pick, the guy was out of bounds. He didn't see him. Like I feel Bo had been so good taking care of the ball. And it's not like that guy intended to. He just ended, the DB ended up out of bounds. Bo never saw him, and he steps back in. And that's just one of those where you put your hands up and there's nothing you can do about that.
That should be cheating.
Well, the receiver can't do it. I'm not going to lie. If you put a force me to, I'm not certain that I knew that a DB could do it because a receiver can't. If a receiver leaves the field on his own volition, he cannot come back and be the first one to touch the ball. Now, if he's forced out, I know he can if he reestablishes himself. I didn't know DBs could go out of bounds on their own and then come back in. That was a new one for me.
You should get a do-over.
Got no countsies.
Right.
Yeah.
Protest. Hey,
well, that's Florida State's deal right now. Maybe Oregon should sue.
Yeah, how about that? Those guys.
Let it go.
Yeah. Well, let it go, but
that's even more stupider.
Yeah, it really is stupidest. That one.
Stupider.
All right, let's break. And when we come back, where do the Ducks go from here with Joey Harrington? It's courtesy of Mods PDX.
I know where they go. They go to Fiesta Bowl and play Liberty.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to talk to you about that. That's like the opposite of your. Well, wait, was yours Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah, Fiesta Bowl.
The Colorado. Yeah, that's like it's opposite. Yeah. We'll get to that next with Joey Harrington, courtesy of Mods PDX on 1080 The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
At the Home Depot College Football Awards tonight, they've handed out all the hardware. Everything basically other than the Heisman gets handed out tonight. And tip of the cap to Jackson Powers Johnson, who was named the Remington Award winner for the outstanding center in college football. And that's a pretty impressive thing because Alex Forsythe was a hell of a center for Oregon. And that's big shoes to fill. And Powers Johnson filled them as well as anyone could because he just won the award for best center in the country. This Ducks Report brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
It's the Vancouver Ford text line.
Plenty of time to talk sports today.
One number does it all. 503-8646-FAN. For contests and text in your favorite fan hosts about today's hot topics. Brought to you by Vancouver Ford. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit VancouverFord.com. The Vancouver Ford text line. 503-864-6326. That's 503-864-6FAN.
When looking for new construction, you want to make your dreams come alive. You want innovation and sustainability that knows no bounds. You want to work with masters of their craft. You want Mods PDX. Mods PDX works with homebuyers, architects, and developers to create beautiful, sustainable, and energy-efficient buildings of the highest quality. With our modular approach, your project will be completed
went undefeated, but as Suk was saying, I think, what'd you say, their offensive line is like two.
Oh, their Liberty's defensive line.
It's the defensive line.
Their defensive line. Their nose tackle is like 275. They got an end that's like 250. I mean, it is small.
But you also have, Joey, the scenario of, a team that may not, they could easily overlook Liberty or take them for granted or may not care.
Yeah.
What do you think happens in this game? Do you think they blow them out just because of the talent level, or is it a game?
I think that Bo playing is a major factor.
Yeah.
I think that the coaches will have them ready to play. I think Bo will have them ready to play. That being said, and I may have missed it. Like, I still don't know who's playing.
They haven't really said.
Well, Jackson, he's gone. He's declaring, but I haven't seen any. I don't know about Franklin. I don't know.
Did he say he's leaving? I mean, you can declare for the draft, but not. I guess you wouldn't do it now and then play.
Yeah, he's declaring for the draft, so he's out. But I haven't seen. I just haven't seen many things on.
Well, they haven't started practice yet. I think they start next week.
Yeah, so
and then we'll know.
You'll know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it has to do with how many people play.
Yeah.
Because if you have some sense of continuity, you look at what Oregon's offense did to Utah's defense. You look at what Oregon's offense did. Pick a team in the pack, and then think about what Oregon's defense would do to a Liberty team that hasn't played a Power 5 school this year. Like 2 of their wins are against the FCS teams.
Mm-hmm.
This, not to take anything away from. I mean, hey, you went undefeated. Well, I guess that's another argument with another issue with Florida State. I was like, you go undefeated, you deserve to be there. But, well, I guess not.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. That being said, going undefeated is a major accomplishment, and they're a good football team. And yeah, if you take it lightly, this is the type of team that can come up and get you. The thing that makes me the most nervous is if you're playing with guys who haven't seen a whole lot of action this year, right? If Troy Franklin doesn't play, who becomes your. It isn't. So let me put it like this: it isn't so much the first option; it's who becomes your second option, who becomes your third option, right? In the situations where it's all right, Bucky gets the ball, all right, now Troy Franklin's getting the ball, and option number 2 is Ferguson, and option number 3 is Tez, and like you're just going through, and you've got these relationships, you've got this, you've had an entire season, often a couple of years to build this comfort level. If you start throwing new guys in there on a big stage against a good team that is looking to make a statement, looking to make a splash, I mean, there's a potential here. I think that the most frustrating thing for me, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. There's literally nothing good that can come from this game, right? If you win, well, you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose, how in God's earth could you lose to that team, right? You almost like the only thing you can do is go out and win by 38. Right, because then you say, yeah, we're damn good and we deserve to be in that playoff, right? Or we deserve to. Like there was a reason, obviously, they wouldn't get in, but we were good enough to be there. In all other situations, it's either wow, you really screwed that one up, or well, you should have done that anyway. So that I think is the toughest thing for Oregon fans is. What is the reward for such a fantastic season?
That Fiesta Bowl that you played in, obviously that was, we've talked about before. The team was galvanized, had a point to prove, and you proved it. What were your other bowls? You had the Holiday Bowl maybe the year before, is that right?
The previous year, yeah, we were. That was the not
Texas.
Quite David and Goliath, but that was that was our first opportunity to play the Blue Bloods. Like that was University of Texas, and. There's some beasts on that team. The year before it was Minnesota in the Holiday Bowl Minnesota in the Sun Bowl and having an opportunity to play on New Year's Eve and just I guess get into the people's consciousness. I mean, it was a step-by-step thing for us, but
so
I'm curious to see what the motivation is.
Right, that's what I was going to ask. Is like I didn't know if you had a bowl game that was kind of like this, where you just it just doesn't. You had your eye on this big prize, and you thought you were going somewhere, and then you end up, particularly against an opponent like Liberty. I mean, it's a good bowl game.
It's the worst opponent you could get.
But did you ever have a game or a bowl game or just a situation like this where the team was just really hard to motivate?
No, I mean I did have a hard time motivating for the Holiday Bowl because it wasn't the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I've told you that everybody gets a bowl. You get your bowl prizes. You get to pick two. Or at least then you got to pick two things. You got like a ring and a PlayStation, or you could pick one or the other. And everybody took the ring, and I took the PlayStation. I took a DVD player. That's what it was. Because it wasn't the Rose Bowl ring. So I said, screw it. This was after we lost to Oregon State. I was like, I don't want it. And so there was I had motivation. I was frustrated after that. But again, you go back to, all right, we got Texas in front of the whole country.
Yeah.
And, you got a choice. You can either fold and get pissed off and pout, or you can go out and make a statement. And I think that's gonna have to be the motivation. Is like, you got two choices here, right? You can pout about it and you can say, woe is me, and we should have been there, or you can go out and you can put your foot up somebody's backside and say, hey, this is who we are, and deal with it.
The one saving grace about it being Liberty is maybe the pride factor kicks in. I think if you were playing, let's say Oklahoma State, okay, just a good solid team or whatever, I do think that would be easier to not care, because I would hope that whoever decides to play, and that's, again, with every bowl game now, and this goes for Florida State. See, Florida State, their two best receivers aren't playing. One of their elite edge rushers isn't going. So it's like Florida State, whether they're trying to prove it or not, this isn't the Florida State team that would have played had they been in. But
right.
if you're playing, but that's every team. But if you're playing a team like Oklahoma State, I think that's easier to kind of overlook. But I would hope that playing Liberty, you don't want to get embarrassed by Liberty, because it's one thing to lose as a competitor. It's one thing for me to lose to Oklahoma State or to lose to, whatever, Penn State. To me, if I'm going out there, I'll be good and damned if I'm going to let Liberty whip my ass. Like that would get my attention, because I would know that this was everything. This was their justification. And I'm not about to let Liberty try to think that they are on the level with us. And so I'm hoping, if I'm an Oregon fan, that maybe kernel of motivation creeps in there.
It's almost like the reverse motivation.
Yeah.
Well, so something good could come of the bowl game. And then I think it's, if they get out there and stomp Liberty, I actually think that's what would be the word? It's just I think it's somewhat of an achievement for Dan Lanning to rally everybody, because that is certainly a spot where a lot of teams and a lot of coaches have had trouble rallying. So if they come out and they win 65-10, I think that says something about how he keeps it together, how he rallies the troops. So anyway,
fair.
Yeah, that's down the road. Who do you think wins the playoff? How do you think it goes?
I don't know. I don't want it to be Washington.
Do you think they beat Texas?
I don't want it to be Alabama.
Are you rooting for Jim Harbaugh?
But I don't want it to be Michigan. But I really hate Texas.
Yeah, there's really not a likable for you particularly. There's not a likable team in there.
No,
you got to root for Alabama, don't you?
No, I'm tired. I was a Nick Saban. I mean, I'm a Saban guy. I played for him in Miami, but enough already. I'm tired of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you have to take the lesser of two evils: Jim Harbaugh or Texas.
Texas.
Sark.
Yeah, but only because I worked with Longhorn Network in that first year. And so I've still got a couple of friends there that were Texas grads, and they're nice people.
Well, isn't that wild that, particularly if you're a Duck, because I think Washington's the most likable in there if you're neutral. But if you're a Duck, yeah, who do you? I mean, I don't know. Harbaugh, freaking Alabama again, or Texas? How is it that we're making Texas like this lovable figure out of it? This is awful. Where's Florida State when you need
the
it?
lesser of the evils.
Oh, we
right?
hate them too.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right.
I don't. Yeah.
Keep an eye on this.
I don't know. I'm changing subject here. Anybody ever? When I heard we were playing Liberty, I immediately thought of, hey, look, a Bibu. Like Liberty Bibbity. Like anybody else been saying that over and over? Like
100%.
Liberty
Constantly.
Yes.
It comes in on the text line every 10 minutes or so.
Oh my God.
All right.
I'm telling you, everyone's jockeying Michigan. Michigan's offense is not the most dynamic in the world, and J.J. McCarthy is not Bo Nix, and he's not Michael Penix. And if anyone's not been watching Alabama this year, Alabama probably has two of probably the best four corners in all of college football.
I know, and that's why I hesitated. I think they're probably going to win.
They have one of the best safeties. I mean, this is and Dallas Turner. There's some. It's a sneaky good defense. People are saying, "Oh, this isn't a great Alabama team because they don't have." Maybe all of the talent that we're used to having, but I'm telling you, there is 4 or 5 first-round picks on this defense. They've got the corners to shut down Michigan's passing game, which isn't very good to begin with. And then it goes back. I understand that Michigan's defense is going to cause problems, but as Milroe is developed, as Bond is developed, I just think people are sleeping on Alabama. I think from a matchup standpoint, I think they're going to give Michigan problems. This is going to be a low-scoring game.
I don't like anything you just said.
Well, Washington's going to beat Texas, and then you're going to have to root for either Michigan or Alabama. So you better start.
Screwed.
You better start getting ready.
I'm gonna boycott football.
Well, maybe root for your Big Ten brethren because you're a member of the Big Ten now. So you have to root for Michigan, Big Ten.
I can do that.
There you go. Big Ten. You're part of it now.
All right.
All
big
right.
Duke with big solutions for the Big Ten.
Well, I'm docking the boat for a while, so I won't talk to you. But good luck with the knee, and have a Merry Christmas. Okay?
I'll be here next week to talk to you, though.
All right, Liberty Bibbity.
All right, see you. That's Joey Harrington, courtesy of Mods PDX. The future of building is here. Club 1080 is next, and it's probably clever because I'm not going to be a part of it.
Yeah, you got to get out of here. You're catching a plane.
Catching a flight.
Sunny San Diego, and you're done, right?
I'm docking up.
We're out.
I'm docking until the new year.
Well, I'm going to say from all of us here, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Solstice, Harvest, December 25th, Christmas, whatever it is you're celebrating down there, you godless heathen.
Thank you.
We all love you. I couldn't have a better partner. We wish you all the best. Enjoy the sunshine and have a great time. Recharge, and we will see you. First of the year, right?
Yeah, January 2nd.
Yeah, and I'll be here through the club. Me and Big Will got you, and then I'll be here all next week, and then I go on vacation. So there you go.
Well deserved.
Enjoy it. Get out of here, catch your plane, and
all right,
we'll see you on the other side.
Thank you. Love you so much. Will, I don't love you yet, but
it's a work in progress.
Maybe eventually. Yeah. We're getting there.
Maybe feel him up first a little bit, some foreplay.
Yeah. Everybody have a wonderful holiday, and I return to the show January 2nd. Love all you bozos. Club is next on The Fan.
Hey, it's Duke sticking around for my hometown dealer, Vancouver Ford. Going to get Monty on the horn here in just 1 second, and No Rob. Rob's on his way to sunny San Diego. And quite frankly, that pisses me off. Not that he's not here, just that he's going to San Diego. He escapes this weather. It's normally around this time of the year I go to Mexico, but I couldn't this year. So I'll be here all next week, and then I'll take my vacation. We'll both be gone at the end of December, and we'll do some fill-in stuff, and we got some bowl games and all that, and we'll all reunite after the first of the year. But normally I go to Mexico for Christmas, but there's like a weird dog virus going on around right now.
There's a dog virus that's keeping you out. Well, don't bring your dog.
Well, that's my thing is we wouldn't bring the dog to Mexico. I can't bring my dog is bigger than he's the second largest person in my family. Yeah. He's bigger than everyone else. Yeah. So I don't take him, but we would board him. But you can't. My better half is not willing to board the dog because dogs are dying. Like there's like a dog COVID going around right now. So dogs are like we had someone recently, one of our friends' dogs passed away and died.
Died of dog COVID?
Yeah, well, it's not COVID, but it's an unknown dog virus. And so they're warning people like, hey, like we stopped sending, like our dog would go like once a week and because our other two dogs have passed away. Mm-hmm. So he was used to having other dogs in the house. They passed away. So we take him once a week and we take him to like a little dog play place. Just let him run around. And we can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find someone over Christmas to watch him. Like normally we just have someone stay at the house then, but it's kind of weird to ask someone for the week of Christmas, hey, do you want to come stay at my house? And so we kind of had to put the kibosh on Mexico. And so we're going to Canada. We're doing White Christmas because we can drive him. We can take him with us. We rented a house up in Canada. We can drive him up. But I got no sun. There's no sun in Canada. If anything, I'm driving to worse weather in Canada. Meanwhile, Rob's going south to San Diego where it's like 82 and breezy, and quite frankly, I'm a little pissed off about it.
Well, I think you've been very clear about your white Christmases.
I just have always preferred the whites.
It is true.
Look, I also feel like snow, that doesn't necessarily mean worse weather. Yeah. It's just different. Some people prefer the snow.
I find those people weird.
Fat Will Ortner loved the snow.
But now skinny Will Ortner does not? Were you afraid of taking off your shirt when it was too hot?
Of course. Don't act like you weren't a fat little kid. You hated the hot.
Nah, like, it's weird, like, because when I was little, yeah, like the heat, because when you're fat, no one likes it. But as I got older, like, I love the heat now. I handle the heat great. I don't know, like, I think it was Florida. Like, if you go to Florida, you just have to learn to handle the heat. But, like, there was nothing more terrifying as a fat kid than having to take your shirt off in public.
Pools, dude.
Oh, you had to find clever ways. Like you fell into the pool, or because you also didn't want to be the kid. Here's like the ugly secret to any of the fat kids out there, or fat adults, or anyone with just body issues. I get that you don't want to take your shirt off to go jump in the pool, but realize that you wearing a t-shirt, that wet, clingy shirt, you're not hiding anything.
No.
All you're doing is drawing attention to yourself for being the fat guy in the pool with the shirt that's still hugging you in all the wrong places. So either you just got to get over it and you just own it, or just go neck deep in the water no matter how shallow it is and just own it. But like when you were like 12 and you were the fat kid, like scoliosis testing, terrible.
You used to have to do that like in person?
In front of everybody.
Oh, like, yeah, because that's not a thing for me. Scoliosis testing, it's like me and my mom and the doctor.
Oh, no. See, you grew up like in like the sensitivity era. Like we had testing when I was in elementary and junior high. They would take us all into the gym, and you had to do the lice test. You had to do the scoliosis test. You had to get like height and weight in front of
Did you do height and weight?
Height and weight in front of everybody. And when you're like in like the 5th grade and everyone's like, I weigh 90 pounds. I weigh 105. And then you get on yours and it's like 190. You're like, oh my God. And your buddy's like, hey, how much do you weigh? You're like, shut up. I didn't get mine yet. And you had to take off your shirt, which again,
Are they doing body weight or body fat percentage
No,
too?
you had to take off your shirt and then you had to bend over to touch your toes to do the scoliosis test. And let me tell you, when you're a fat little butterball with some nice C cups, the bent over position's the worst position you can possibly be in. No one looks good bending over to touch your toes. I don't even care if you're like in shape. It's just not a good look. But when you're a fat little, piggy, it's horrifying. It's like the worst day of the year. And like when they just like everyone to the gymnasium. I think if you did it now, you'd get sued. And then lice testing, you sat down in a chair in front of everyone and they like searched through your
did
hair.
That. Lice testing was normal. The scoliosis test, you did that in the sanctity of your own room.
No, dude, that used to be in, and you had to like the presidential like fitness test. Everyone had to watch you not be able to do pull-ups. Everyone had to watch you not be able to touch your toes like on the sit and stretch. Like it was a traumatic thing. Like back in the day, gym class for the fat kids, it's rough. Now I think you can just like opt out of it and like take choir or whatever.
Yeah, you can opt out of gym, which is the dumbest thing ever. Gym is important for kids. Like you need to be running around.
Yeah.
I don't get why it's not required.
No, it's because you can't offend anyone now, and the little Johnny feels bad about it, and then little Susie, and it's like
It's not offending anybody.
it's offending people. You can't have it now.
To have fun moving.
Can't do it. You're just saying that because you're a PE teacher.
Sometimes, yeah. No, but I go to the gym most days. It's very rare I'm just sitting on the couch nowadays. You got to move.
Vancouver Ford text line. Thanks, Suk. I actually thought I was better off wearing the shirt. You're not. I'm telling you, this is a public service announcement to everyone. It makes it worse when you wear the t-shirt.
Especially if it's white.
I know you think it's better because you think it's covered up. And first off, let me just say this to everyone out there with with some heft. No one cares. No one cares. We all think that people are spending way more time paying attention to us than they are. Because in our society, we're the most self-centered, egotistical people of all time. No one's looking at you because they're busy looking at themselves. No one cares what you have going on. No one's noticing. And even if they are, I promise you, the t-shirt in the pool only draws attention to you. It makes it worse. It really does. Because if you just have your shirt off, you're just blending in. You're just another body out there. But everyone notices t-shirt in the pool guy. And it's just don't do it. You just got to find a way. Take the shirt off real quick, jump in the pool, mid-chest, and you're fine. And then as soon as you get out of the pool, just go find a towel real quick. Towel off your face, let it drape in front of you, you're fine. Maybe do a towel around your shoulders.
Right.
There's little tricks you can get away with it. But the t-shirt's not fooling anybody.
Well, also, you stick out like a sore thumb. It's like, why is that dude wearing a t-shirt?
Yeah.
And so then actually it draws more eyes and more attention to you.
It's not good.
And also,
hey, the fat struggle is real, but
it's also never as bad as you think it is. It's never as good as you think it is, but it's never as bad as you think it is either.
Yeah. Hey, that's one of the challenges growing up. If you're an O lineman growing up, it gets better. It gets better. But if you're like 10, 11 years old and you got 2 stripes on your helmet, it's gonna be rough for a little bit. It's gonna be rough. Learn to embrace it. That's why I always like you see the kid, the old lineman, and he's like got a half shirt on. And he's folding it up under his pads. That kid doesn't one of the linemen from UW does this.
Yep.
His
guts out.
His guts out. And my gal was watching the Pac-12 title game with me, and she goes, "Why is he doing that?" And I was like, "That's a fat kid early on that embraced it. He's not comfortable doing that, but it's like he's making fun of it, so you can't. He's owned the belly. He doesn't want that, but it's his way of putting it out there and being like, you can't hurt me. You can't. Now, what are you gonna make fun of me? Yeah, it's out there. He's owned it, which is really what you got to do when you've got a little bit of heft to you. All right, what do we got? I've got some Kevin Costner news. I've got some Taylor Swift. I've got Indiana Jones news. And how many times is it okay to fail something before you quit? Because the old idea of never give up, I think there's a man in England that puts that to the test. And I think maybe he should have probably given up. That, Club 1080 when we come back here on The Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on The Fan.
Here's third down at the 17-yard line, 3rd and goal. Snap and Bo back to throw. Going to go fade route for Tez. He's got it, and he scores! Tez Johnson!
Ducks football is brought to you by Zoom Care, Encore Audio Video, Victor Rico's Mexican Food, Grillworks Supply Company, and by Langdon Farms Golf Club. The Ducks play
503-864-6326. Says I'm a fat dude. I wear a shirt in the pool. Dark one. Not because I'm fat, because I'm pasty white. Says I don't give two F's what people think. I just don't want to burn. I wish I could believe you, but I don't. I think you're wearing that shirt because deep down, you can tell yourself that it doesn't bother you. Bothers you.
Middle school Will Ortner bought what are the Wakes shirts? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Bought the long sleeve because I didn't want to burn. No, I had up tops, dude. I was
Trust
fat.
me,
It is what it is.
if you had abs, you wouldn't be worried about burning. You'd be putting on some SPF 50 and you'd be out there flexing. But it's okay. If you need to tell yourself that it's about sun protection, by all means, go for it. I like this one too. My rule is a chubby dude. Shirt stays on until someone bigger than me takes theirs off. Usually only takes about 5 minutes. Beaches and river go even quicker. I like that. And then just stand by that person. Make some comparisons.
You're not wrong. There's always someone bigger.
You're like looking around. You're like, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that guy over there. All right, I'm good. I'm gonna take one off and do a drive-by. And then we got someone here that says, yeah, those days were terrible, you little jerks. I already had my boobs. This from one of our female representatives. Said the rope climbing was also terrible. The aforementioned up tops got in the way. Again, being a kid, like, you wonder why, like, little kids are just, like, miserable. Because it's the most awkward, just, like, there's no one. Did anyone like themselves when they were, like, 12 years old?
I bet, like, a Bieber did. Justin Bieber's making a bunch of money. Michael Jackson, maybe?
No, I guarantee Michael Jackson hated himself. Michael Jackson hated himself forever. It's just like the most awkward time in the world because if you have up tops, then everyone makes fun of you, right? Then like, oh my God, look at those. But then if you don't have them, everyone makes fun of you, right? If you're the boy, you're terrified that you're too skinny or you're too fat or you're terrified about having to shower in front of everyone. Kids refuse to shower now.
Oh, yeah, no, they don't.
It's just not a thing.
It's gross.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really sweaty, smelly middle school, high schoolers. There's nothing worse than sending them to PE and then realizing like, oh, they're coming back to class.
Oh, I know guys that that coach, and they say like even after like long road trips, the players won't shower. Like
it's gross.
It'll be like a 2-hour bus ride, and they won't shower. They will get on the bus after a wet, nasty, muddy game and ride 2+ hours as opposed to taking a shower. And you're like, it's just a thing. Like we've taken, it used to be that awkward, weird teenage rite of passage. Like eventually you just got over it. Like high school, like forced you to be done with it. Kids now, we protect them from it, and they never shake it. Now you see them as adults. That kids are like adults still have that, which is why you end up with shirts and pools.
Well,
that's the one thing about football that like football forces you out of that comfort zone.
Had to.
It just once you, especially when you get to college, you can't hide from it. And you could even see it like in your college locker room. You could always tell the high school kid that wasn't comfortable, and it was like, oh buddy, this is gonna be a rough year for you. Like it's gonna be bad.
If you were an offensive football player and you traveled to an away game, I made you shower. I will be honest about that. I went up and it was like, you're getting in the shower. We're going to go on a 5-hour bus ride from Silver City, New Mexico, all the way to Phoenix, Arizona. You will be showering. I will not be stuck on a bus with you.
Yeah, kids just reek. And then they cover it up with body spray.
Oh, it's Axe. The Axe shower.
That's still a thing?
I don't know if
The
it is
kids are still
anymore, but
rocking
when
the
I was
Axe?
in middle school, the Axe body shower, you do that and you get the Axe chocolate. Let it go.
So bad. All right, I'm asking, when is an appropriate time to quit? Because, we're always told that you shouldn't quit at something, right? You try, you fall down. It's the whole Rocky speech, right? It's not how many times you can get hits, how many times that you can, what is it? It's not how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep getting back up, right?
That's how winning's done.
That's how winning's done. That's the whole Stallone thing. So, did you fail your driving test or did you pass it first time around?
I passed it the first time. I failed the parallel parking.
Okay, but you passed the test.
It's only like 6 points.
Tasty. I guess, by the way, like more and more kids aren't even getting their licenses. Speaking of weird thing that kids are doing, like my son's roommate in college just got his driver's license. 21 years old, just got it.
I have a buddy from college who never got his, and I've got another buddy who just got it at 22.
And they're saying now that in our country, about 40% of the people fail the test the first time around. So it's
that hard.
That's what I kind of thought, but I guess it's just not that kind of an important thing anymore. When I turned 16, it was like, get my license day of. Well, there was a man in England, and he failed the test. And he failed the test again, and he failed the test again, and he failed the test again. Would you care to guess how many times my bro here, my man, this is in, this was in Reddish, England. How many times, and we don't know how old he was because, again, they didn't release his information.
Right.
But would you care to guess how many times he failed the driving test?
If you're bringing it up, it's got to be double digits. So I'm thinking, what, 15?
He ended up spending, because you have to pay each time you take the test.
It's like $60, something like that, yeah.
He ended up spending $1,400, and he passed his driving test on the 60th time. 60. He failed it 59 times.
It's like a 20-minute test.
59 times.
Is he SpongeBob SquarePants? What's happening here?
Got it? Got it? Got it? Yeah, Mrs. Pup, 59 times. First off, I think if you fail the test 10 times, you should never be allowed to take it again. Because if you failed the test 59 times and you passed it on the 60th, is it fair of me to assume that you are still the worst driver in the history of that fine country? There's just no way. There's no way that you can't be an absolute menace to society if you fail something 59 times. Like if I get on an Alaskan Airlines flight and I find out that the pilot, man in that 737, failed his pilot's test 59 times, guess what? I want a new pilot. You don't get to be a pilot. Same thing. Hey, I flunked out of med school 59 times. I passed it on my 60th time around. No, you don't get to operate on me. 59 times? I think at that point, everyone should be encouraging him to quit. And whoever encouraged that young man to do it again and again and again, they're doing a disservice to us all. You should quit.
It's probably his grandparents because they're not on the road anymore.
59. I honestly, I read that story and I was like, there's just no way. I don't even know how that happens. Like, are you just...
It takes you a week, too. So this took him a year.
Yes. Yes.
Over a year. It took him over a year to get his GD license.
And $1,400. Although, to be fair, I'm guessing that was the sweetest day of that man's life. I don't think I've ever failed at something, except maybe the scoliosis test. I can't think of something that I have failed 59 times. But is that not, like, I don't know if that's a feeling of relief. I don't know if that's a feeling of absolute euphoria. Or it's still shameful that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it's over. That is the most incredible record I've ever heard of.
There has to be something else there at play, right? You know what I mean?
Well, people are saying the test in England is way harder. How much harder can it be? It's still a car with a wheel. Yeah, it's on the other side, but you learn to drive on the other side. Driving a car isn't that hard.
No.
I mean, I've seen some bad drivers in my days, but still, like passing the test, like, neither one of my daughters is a particularly great driver, and quite frankly, they kind of terrify me, but they both passed on the first time. Like, and so I just think about what it takes to fail a test over and over again like that. I'm waiting for that guy to, like, I'm waiting for the follow-up, like in a week or two, is man kills 6 on road after failing test 59 times.
And a couple sheep. Yeah, no, I rode in a car multiple times with someone who refused to use their turn signals. Like literally never. Passed first time.
Why didn't they? They
didn't
believe in them, or
you're friends with them.
And they refused turn signals?
It was a refusal or just forgot every time. Terrifying.
Huh. Yeah. Like if you ever drive with someone that's really a bad driver, we had this fairly recently. Me and my lady were visiting some friends, and he was an older gentleman, and it had been a while, and we rode in his car, and it was one of those trips where I got stone silent. I was really so uncomfortable I couldn't say anything, and my phone buzzes, and I look down, and it's my gal from the back seat, and she texts me and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I just responded with no.
No.
I'm not okay. And I really did think about at some point, like, and it's his car. I thought about asking if I could drive.
You can't do that, though.
I was this close.
No, you can't, because the minute that you do that, you completely emasculate him.
I'm telling you. And we were going a very short distance. It was not far. It was like, and this is how scary it was. It was only like a 10-minute ride. Had it been any longer than that, I do believe I would have had to do the, hey man, can we, you need me to drive? I mean, we had 4 or 5 near misses where I was convinced that we were going to get in a serious wreck. And yet, like, that's a life and death situation, but you're right. I didn't say anything. I just sat there like a goon and was like braced for impact. I was just waiting for the airbag to come flying at me at any moment. It's terrifying. That's like the statistically speaking, the number one way people your age or my age are going to die is in a car accident. And yet we were like, like we've all been in that car with like the Uber driver or the cab driver. You're like, holy dude, this guy's going to kill us. And then we're like, And yet we still go along with it.
Hey man, yeah. Everyone's been there at one point. I have a buddy that I still won't let drive me.
Yeah. Everyone has that one person.
I've never gotten in the car with him yet, and I'm not planning on it anytime soon.
All right, we come back. I've got Animal VR, which I think is kind of terrifying here. And, I got some Taylor Swift news as well. Yeah. Club 1080 when we come back.
This is a Football Friday edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by the Odyssey.
This comes to us from Northwest University in Illinois. And, you know, have you ever done the VR goggle stuff? You ever done any of the Oculus?
Yeah, not like a lot, but once or twice.
Yeah, they're kind of fun.
They're okay.
You know, my son has a couple of, like, he's got like a Beat Saber game and there's like a boxing game. It's kind of fun. And they can be a little trippy. Imagine, though, if you're an animal and someone put little VR goggles on your head. And you think to yourself, why would anyone do that? Well, apparently the researchers at this Northwest University decided that they were going to do this. They built VR goggles for mice. And the initial thing was they would do VR goggles and then it simulated freedom for the mice that had never known freedom, right? These were lab mice bred in the lab. So they made VR goggles and it allowed the mice to frolic and feel like they were outside. And the mice reacted very positively to this, which I thought was kind of cool for a moment. Then I actually thought it was kind of sad because you're just tricking the mice. They're like, we're free, look at, and then you're like, oh wait, we're here. But then it took a horrible turn because I can't think of something more screwed up. And I get it, they're mice, no one really cares. But you know what they did with the VR goggles next? They simulated the mice being hunted and killed by birds of prey. Imagine this poor little mouse that just knows nothing.
Thinks it's dead and it's in the afterlife now?
Yes! Like, I understand that it's not super complex thought, but it sure as hell knows what a bird looks like, and it sure as hell knows what it's like when it's swooping down to kill you. So they were measuring, like, the mice, the heart rate and the adrenaline spikes and, like, how fast it ran. And apparently, the mice had very similar numbers to when they were actually being attacked and killed. There is a lab somewhere in the United States, and college kids are virtually torturing mice. And I thought, like, how absolutely messed up that was, because the animal has no idea what's going on. Maybe think of this: we got a little, my gal got a little virtual camera, or a little camera, for when the dog's home, so she can, like, keep an eye on the dog, and then you can talk to the dog. And
like a ring for your dog?
Yeah, it's like a ring for the dog.
What?
And so she the other day she said that she couldn't see him, and so she started talking to him, and he popped up from behind the couch. And I thought, well, that's kind of messed up, because she's like, yeah, he was looking around for me. Of course he hears your voice. And I was like, how messed? The dog has no idea what a camera is. The dog has no idea that you're not really there. So now the dog is probably just confused as hell, being like, wait, I hear her, but I can't find her. And it's like, I thought about that, like, animals don't have any sort of grasp on technology. And I thought it was kind of messed up that you're now, every time you speak to your dog through the little camera, you're probably just freaking the dog out. The dog thinks it's probably some sort of, like, evil trick and just, like, has anxiety through the roof, much like the little rodent here that thinks it's about to virtually be killed. Imagine if you just woke up one night and like, you didn't even realize that you had VR goggles on. You just woke up and there was a serial killer in front of you with a knife. Like, how messed up is that?
Yeah, it's Bush League. Also, this money, I'm assuming, is from a state. Like, they are a university that is federally funded or something?
Yes.
Why is that where we're putting our federal money? Who
VR goggles
cares?
for mice.
Who cares? What? Like, that's probably got to cost what, a couple $100,000 to make one of those little VR goggles for mice, because it's so small. It's got to be done like a certain way, a special way. Why are we wasting our money on this? I don't like. Yes, it's sad, and we shouldn't scare animals for no reason, but why are we wasting our money? As someone who now pays taxes, why are my tax dollars going to VR goggles for mice?
I just thought that was one of the more interesting, like, ideas that I've ever heard, that someone, like you said, someone applied for a grant, got a bunch of money, built VR goggles to virtually torture mice. God bless the university system. Second bit of animal news, and someone just sent this to me, and I kind of confirms what I've always thought. Are you a cat person, Will?
Absolutely not.
Thank God.
Cat people are gross.
Well, apparently a new study, they Australian researchers conducted an analysis of 17 different studies published over the last 44 years from 11 countries, including the United States and the UK. So it's pretty broad here. And they have indeed found an association between cat ownership and increased odds of developing schizophrenia and schizophrenia-related disorders.
Because you're talking to the cat.
Yeah.
All the time.
So the idea that cat ownership would be linked to schizophrenia was proposed in a 1995 study with exposure to a parasite, suggested as a cause, but the research was so far put forth kind of mixed conclusions. But studies have found that being around cats during childhood might make a person more likely to develop schizophrenia. However, not all studies have been conclusive. But looking at 17 different studies over a 44-year period, it is indeed, and they're not exactly sure why, but there is an elevated risk of schizophrenia and schizophrenia-related diseases if you own cats, especially as a young person.
Time to get rid of cats.
Time to get rid of cats.
Cats need to be abolished.
Yes. You think the mice are terrifying? Cats. And you can say all you want about parasites. I believe it's because cats stare into your soul and are just evil and creepy.
I thought it was just their, hormones or something. Pheromones, whatever. Like something emits from the cat.
Well, isn't it funny? After all this time, the whole idea of the crazy cat lady, it's a real thing. It is 100% a real thing. That if you are a cat person, be aware. This is like the bears being able to smell the menstruation. Great bears. Now you're putting the whole station in jeopardy. So if you have a lady and she's like, we should get a cat, realize you're putting everyone at risk for schizophrenia. Cats equal schizophrenia. Never trust someone that's a cat person. Ladies out there, if you're dating a guy and he's a cat person,
especially if you're dating a guy and he's a cat person, I'm more understanding if it's a lady who's a cat person.
Be wary of that. Be wary. Although my jiu-jitsu professor is a cat person, and I can't say anything to him because he used to be a pro fighter. So it's like,
He might be schizophrenic pro fighter.
He might be the one exception. I'm not making fun of that guy. I want to. Like every time he posts something about one of his cats, I want to say something.
Oh, he's a cat poster?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, look at what I dressed my cat as.
He's got a bunch of cats, and he loves his cats. So he travels, and then he comes home, and there's a hot cat video, and I want to make fun of it, but then I realized that he just came from overseas, strangling someone, and that I should just shut up. It's like if Brock Lesnar was cats. I was just like,
have you seen his daughter?
Yeah. If you hadn't know, Brock Lesnar's daughter apparently just broke the Colorado state shot put record.
Yeah, she's terrifying.
And she looks exactly like Brock Lesnar.
She's him in a wig, dude.
It's terrifying. It's like if you took Will and you gave Will a bigger beard and then longer hair, it's Brock Lesnar's daughter.
She doesn't have a beard.
She looks exactly like Brock Lesnar. And it is terrifying. And apparently she throws the hell out of a shot put. See, Brock Lesnar can be a cat person. So look, if you are going to own cats, one, be really scary, or two, just develop schizophrenia and then no one can say anything to you because, well, now you're a terrifying, dangerous person with schizophrenia. All right, we come back, we put a bow on this. Club 1080 the fan.
The Ducks get their postseason marching orders.
But unfortunately, because the Fiesta Bowl has last draw, Oregon will face Liberty.
Yeah, it's deflating.
Is the season still a success with a bowl win?
Our guys are thrilled and excited about the opportunity. One of the best things about bowl games is the opportunity to go finish this season, with a highlight. And our guys are really pumped about this game in particular.
Talk about it and
Lost again, this time by 30. That's 20 in a row. How do you lose 20 basketball games in a row?
You don't make it in the hoop.
I mean, you just think the nature of the NBA and people not caring, and there's plenty of bad teams in the NBA, you lose 20 in a row? That may be the most impressive streak that I've seen in a while. I mean, that's a commitment to being dog crap when you're talking about losing 20 in a row. Bravo. Bravo, Detroit Pistons.
Well, it's also none of their young players hit at all.
No, like that's,
They're
but again,
horrible.
it's really hard when you're that bad. Like you just keep getting high draft picks. Someone's got to eventually be good, right?
No.
And the Lions did the sombrero. I think they were the last team to go 0-4 in the NFL as well.
Yeah, the Lions were the last team to. Well, they're not the only. Yeah, because Tampa Bay did, right? Like the 80s or something like that.
I think there's been others, but I think the Lions were the last ones to take the collar and go 0-4. Huskies went